Well, hey, it's time for Ask the Tech Guys. Leo Laporte over here. Coming up, we're going to talk to a guy who wants to buy 4 Macs just to preserve his privacy. Is he crazy?
Oh, boy. And I'm Micah Sargent. We also talk about generally lowering tech anxiety and how to keep yourself from wanting to tweak every part of your device all the time.
Calm down. Then Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, shows us some sparkling images. It's all coming up next on Ask the Tech Guys.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
This is Ask the Tech Guys with Micah Sargent and Leo Laporte, episode 2012, recorded Sunday, February 18th, 2024, The Radioactive Priesthood. This episode of Ask the Tech Guys is brought to you by Wix. Web agencies, you're going to love this one. Let me tell you about Wix Studio, the platform that gives agencies total creative freedom to deliver complex client sites while still smashing deadlines. How? Well, first, let's talk about the advanced design capabilities. With Wix Studio, you can build unique layouts with a revolutionary grid experience and watch as elements scale proportionally by default. No-code animation adds sparks of delight, while custom CSS gives you total design control. And it doesn't stop there. Bring ambitious client projects to life in any industry with a fully integrated suite of business solutions, from e-com to events, bookings, and more. And extend the capabilities even further with hundreds of APIs and integrations. And you know what else? The workflows just make sense. There's the built-in AI tools, the centralized workspace, the on-canvas collaboration, reuse of assets across sites, and the seamless client handover. That's not all. Find out more at wix.com/studio. It's time for Ask the Tech Guys.
Whoa.
Hello, Micah Sargent.
Hello, Leo Laporte.
I see you don't have a Vision Pro on.
The Vision Pro is not on my face. It's in a box, and it's going back.
It better have gone back.
Well, I've got until February 29th to send it back.
Oh, I thought it was only 2 weeks.
Isn't it wild? This is an interesting pro tip. If you... and this, of course, depends on the product. But if you go online and you mark it for return, the company gives you a period of time to get it back to the delivery service to ship it. And so it just has to be in the company's, in whatever shipping service you're using's hand by February 29th. It will go back long before February 29th.
But you could be still wearing it.
But you could, exactly. If
I noticed you're not.
No, I'm not wearing it. We finished our, because we did a lot of different videos and content about it.
Yeah, we did a ton of
question
stuff.
and answer.
Yeah.
And finally on Thursday, we did the kind of post-hype review of the Apple Vision Pro, spending 2 weeks with it and kind of getting a final judgment call for how I was feeling about it and who I felt it was for, et cetera, et cetera.
I will have to watch that.
Yeah, so that will be coming out very soon. Anthony, of course, is working his magic on it. And yeah, it was an interesting time, but it was time for it to go back to the App
Well, we weren't
Store.
going to let you keep it even if you liked
Exactly.
it, so.
Yeah, it was going back no matter what.
Yeah. This is the show where we answer your tech questions mostly. 888-724-2884 is the phone number. The phones are live right now. When we're not on the air, you can leave a message. But right now, if you call, you will get into the lobby waiting to get put on the air.
Yes, and if you are on the phone, when you are brought on to actually ask your question, remember to hit *6. So that way you can unmute yourself. Moving along, call.twit.tv is the URL, the URL that you could go to on your phone, your computer, wherever, to be able to join the Zoom. That is an opportunity to have your video and audio brought on, and you'll be able to ask your question there. We just ask that wherever you are on your phone or your computer, you look toward the bottom of the screen and you find the little place that says raise hand and you tap or click on that. That lets us know you have a question, that you're not just hanging out. And then the other way to get in touch with us is our email, atg@twit.tv. You can send us an email with audio, video, or just text, and we will answer your questions that way too.
So it is a call-in show. We definitely want to hear from you. But we also like to chit-chat I only see Micah once a week. This is our big opportunity.
This is our time to hang out.
We'll try to keep the chit-chat to a minimum. It's funny, I used to do a live with Regis and Kelly for many years. I did it for about 12, 13 years. And you never would know how much time you were going to get in your segment. I would go with a bunch of gadgets. It all depended on how long the host chat went. Where Kelly and Regis, now it's Kelly and her husband Mark, but at the time when I was doing it, was Kelly and Regis, how long they would talk. And sometimes it'd be 10 minutes, sometimes they go for half an hour. And you'd just be watching the clock, watching your segment go shrink as they talked. So I hope that our good friend Chris Marquardt isn't doing that right now. Chris will be coming up in just a little bit. Our photography guy, Sparkle, was the assignment.
That's
and
right.
I submitted...
Oh, you submitted a photo?
I submitted a sparkly picture. So we'll see. I don't know if he'll... I don't like to submit pictures because I don't want to use my influence.
Right. Hey, if you want to come back on the show, you better make sure my photos selected.
If you ever want to appear again. No. Don't. Chris wouldn't do that.
No.
So we did cover topic number 1. I mean, look, if I gave you $3,500 right now, would you keep the...
Not me.
I feel like, there have been stories about returns of varying amounts. Some people say more than usual, but that's very anecdotal because Apple's not going to tell us.
Right.
Some people say less. Bloomberg says about normal, maybe a little bit above normal. Just really varies.
It's hard to call what's normal, though, when there's so few of them in comparison. You know what I mean? There aren't as many out there in the first place. So the number of returns that's a little odd.
I think a lot of people would, if they weren't going to use it, sell it on eBay, probably make money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That's a good point, too.
Because it's somewhat in demand. So I think, that's not one way. That's not really a way to judge it. I think the way to judge it will be to watch over the next 6 months as the number of articles about it dwindle, the amount of interest in it dwindles. There are going to be some people who are just crazy about it, and some uses in surgery or whatever where people will say, this thing is life-changing. But I don't see the world changing over the next 6 months.
No. And to pull it out and look at this from sort of a little bit of a meta perspective, I have found it really fascinating. And I always come back to this sort of general understanding of human behavior whenever it comes to technology reviews and technology reporting. Seeing the reactions to people who say, as I did, this thing causes me physical pain and mental distress, and so I do not want to wear it. And I've seen other people who say this, and I want to make you aware that the 30-minute demo gives you all of the highlights with none of the potential concerns that you would have. You really need a little bit longer to try this. And the number of people who just lose their mind in anger that someone says, this thing hurt me, is kind of wild to me.
It is surprising, isn't it?
It's wild to me.
You're experiencing the first time ever in your life the wrath of Apple fanboys. Yeah. And it can be brutal. I agree.
I mean, ultimately, it is, my metaphor for this, I'm holding to this metaphor, is that the Apple Vision Pro is like the first spacesuit that got us onto the moon.
This is a good analogy, actually.
And that's how I feel about it. It was not a comfortable thing. It was hard to move around in, but I'm on the frickin' moon, so it's super cool. I just can't be in that spacesuit for very long. Did
you see Mark Zuckerberg's video saying, well, the bottom line is, well, the Meta Quest 3 is 1/7 the price, and it's just a better VR experience, period, he said. He may not be wrong. I don't know.
Yeah.
Personally, my problem is not the Apple Vision Pro is not as good as the Meta. My problem is I don't want to put anything
on your face,
on my head. And it sounds like you're along with me in that camp of people, and there are some percentage of people who just find it uncomfortable.
Yeah, uncomfortable, a little daunting. And
it's not how I want to do computing.
Yeah.
Fortunately, we don't have to.
Exactly. We have the choice not to. How nice.
And I have no problem if somebody loves it. That's great. It's,
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, right? Ultimately, it's not shaming the people who think that it's great and who enjoy it. And I'm glad that it's able to be something for someone, because I want anyone who spends that much money on something to, if they're going to keep it, I hope you really like it. I hope you're not keeping it out of some strange, pride or some sort of strange...
Well, I imagine there's a certain amount of that. You spend $3,500 for something and you go crazy about how great this thing is. You can't. It's hard to back down at that point. You gotta keep it around. There were Vision Pro cameras capturing immersive video at the NBA Slam Dunk contest.
Oh,
so the NBA jumped on this early. And so there will be at some point, I don't know if it'll be an app or what, but there'll be some, stereoscopic slam dunk stuff for people who are NBA fans. That's good news. I think so far everything is kind of gimmicky. It's like, oh, that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel
cool.
There are all of these little toys in the toy box.
For the thing
Yeah.
that makes you go, oh, I have to use this. I must have this.
And I thought, there were a few times, as we made clear, that we go, oh, that's the killer experience. Oh, that's really the cool experience.
Oh, they're very cool stuff. Yeah.
But it doesn't outweigh, again, the cons in that sense.
I guess I've been burned because I've been saying that for 20 years. Every time I put on one of these things, I go, oh my God, this is amazing. It's going to change. And then I go, yeah, but I'm about to throw up. Or, yeah, but I notice I don't use it that much after. I've bought them all, believe me, except for the Vision Pro. And I never use them.
There's some sort of operant conditioning happening.
I accept it could be me. Could be me.
You and other people.
But there's going to be other people like you.
Yeah. And I was ready to be that's the thing. I was really ready to be blown away.
You were open.
I was open. I
didn't poison you, right?
No, because I wanted to be excited. I really did. I thought, Apple's going to nail this. It's going to be great. It's going to be different.
It's great.
And again, it was very fair in saying that there were experiences that were truly amazing.
Yeah.
But when you're being stabbed in the temple while you're experiencing something truly amazing,
not quite as amazing.
Doesn't make it truly amazing.
Apple is going to get a $500 million fine in the EU for antitrust. This is not the Digital Markets Act. This is not the newer stuff that Apple's being investigated by. They're going to have to pay a €5 million fine for stifling competition again in Apple Music.
Oh.
And if you think about this, this kind of makes sense, according to the Financial Times. It's a complaint from Spotify saying, look, we can be on the iPhone, but we have to give them 30% of any subscriptions you buy on the iPhone. That's why we no longer offer that option. You have to go to Spotify to get it. Apple has its own music app. The advantages Apple gives it, it's pre-installed. You have to install Spotify. The 30% obviously goes right back into their pocket. They don't pay 30% on music, which means the music that they play for you costs them 30% less, right? They have advertising, they have promotion. They've definitely, there's no question if you use an iPhone, Apple Music is the favored choice.
Yes.
And Spotify says that's anti-competitive. And even though we don't sell in the App Store, that's an opportunity cost for us because we would probably sell a lot more subscriptions, but we're not going to because we don't want to give you 30% or 15%. So the EU says there's merit in that, and we're going to charge them $500 million. Now, Apple can afford $500 million.
Right.
Maybe that's just the cost of doing business. Maybe that's the 30%.
I was going to say, is it one time? Yeah. How is the EU?
That's a good question. Probably not. Probably Apple has to pay 500 million euros and change its behavior. This just came down this weekend, so we'll pay attention. I don't know what's going to happen with that. Congratulations to my friend Kevin Rose. He sold his Moonbirds. Kevin formed a company called the Proof Collective that had these NFTs, these cartoon Moonbirds, sold $50 million worth to people, to suckers who,
$50 million of nothing.
Nothing. You bought nothing, literally, bits. And now we don't know how much. Yuga Labs, the creators of the Bored Apes Yacht Club, bought it. I'm going to think it was a fire sale.
I don't understand half of the words you're saying.
I know.
It just sounds... Can you imagine some alien transmission or alien reception?
Yuga,
Moonbird. It's just like...
And NFTs.
Exactly.
Well, anyway, good on Kevin. So, he didn't own it outright. There were other partners, but $50 million plus whatever he got paid. And
good
he's out
work,
of it.
grifters.
Good job. Good job. Speaking of grifters, the Standard Performance Evaluation Corporation, creators of the SPEC benchmark, have withdrawn 2,600 of their results, 2,600 of their results, testing Intel's Xeon processors last year and the year before the Spec CPU 2017 test, because after investigation, Spec found Intel had cheated. Intel used compilers that were, quote, performing a compilation that basically looked and said, are you running a benchmark? Okay, here we go.
Wow. This is giving Volkswagen.
This is very much like Dieselgate. But it's not even the first time it's happened.
Right?
Yeah, it's not even the first time it's happened. So benchmarks, but I've always said don't trust benchmarks.
But it was never. We weren't saying that because of this. That was
No.
the thing. This is bad.
Yeah.
Did Intel have anything to say in return, or are they keeping quiet about it?
I haven't. Let's see. Let me go to the PC World article where I read this. See if Intel has a response. What is Intel's response?
Looks like nothing.
I don't see a response. Maybe they haven't asked. Anyway, I will report the response when it emerges. Probably they say, "Hey, well, I didn't do it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What are you talking about?
What proof you got?
And finally, here's a good one. Amazon. They've been hit over labor relations. They're violating labor relations. A lot of companies, Starbucks allegedly does this too. Apple does it, where they kind of do things that are against labor law to prevent unionization. And Amazon has been fined and accused of doing this by the National Labor Relations Board, which has been around for 88 years to enforce laws. They're not making up laws. These are enforced laws. Amazon is so mad, they filed on Thursday with the court saying, that's unconstitutional, Your Honor.
Wow.
They're trying to get the 88-year-old National Labor Relations Board dissolved.
Because it's, quote, unconstitutional. Violating the separation of, the checks and balances.
I'll tell you what it's violating.
Yeah.
It's violating the right of companies to get as much money as they can, no matter what. They say it violates Articles 1 and 3 of the Constitution, and Your Honor, as well as the 5th and 7th Amendments. So...
Were they intoxicated?
Elon Musk has also said this, by the way, so it's
you're
true.
in good company.
Yeah. Anyway, that's too bad. Maybe, it would be cheaper just to, give your employees more money and better breaks.
To fight this in court.
Last week I was doing Windows Weekly. I was kind of bored. And I'm not that into Windows, right?
Right.
I got a text message. I thought, oh, wait, maybe there's something. And it was, hey, you want to take a survey? I said, yeah, whatever.
I'll take a survey.
I'll take a survey. I'm just sitting here. I was on my phone. And it starts off, what do you think of this company, Apple and Intel? And it starts all these different companies. Then finally kind of hones down on, what do you think of Amazon? And then I'd finish it. And then it says, you want to take some more questions? And they're all about Amazon, right? Well, do you think Amazon is an unfair employer? Do you think Amazon takes good care of its employees?
Whoa.
Do you think Amazon is an innovator? Amazon's really trying to figure out, is this hurting us?
Oh, wow.
Is this hurting us? Are people, especially, I'm an Amazon Prime subscriber, are Amazon's Prime subscribers going, maybe I don't want to do business with this company anymore? They're worried.
That's interesting.
They're worried. Anyway, I got bored. I was doing a show, so I didn't finish it. All right. Enough of us chitty-chatting along here.
Chitty, bang, bang.
I would really, what? We have an email that, what is his new name? It's not Boy Genius.
I don't know what you're talking about.
What's his new name?
Leo.
Producer to the stars.
Producer to the
wish.
stars, John Ashley. That sounds like a little bit of a backhanded compliment.
From me?
I wish.
Producer to the stars?
He says, I wish.
Oh, that, yes.
I wish you guys were anything but B-level players in an industry that's dying. I wish.
I'm going to take a survey. I'll be back.
I left something in the microwave. I'll be right back.
I once had somebody tell me, you're nothing but a low-level star on a minor cable channel that nobody watches. I said, yes, you're right. Yeah.
Congrats.
That's very good.
Good observation.
Thank you for that insight. This comes from Andre M. Seeking professional advice. Well, that's you then.
Oh.
Because I'm not obviously a professional. For enhancing tech usage efficiency. This is a really interesting question. I think that's why John Ashley pulled this. Genius producer to the stars. I hope this message finds you well, says Andre. I'm reaching out to seek your professional advice regarding a matter that affects my everyday tech usage. Well, that's us. Mm-hmm. I find myself constantly compelled to meticulously examine and adjust all settings on my various devices due to what I believe to be tech-related obsessive compulsive disorder, or TROGD. Although striving for perfection in my device configurations, I'm aware this may be an inefficient use of my time. My research indicates that software coding often falls short and privacy may not be adequately protected. Considering your expertise in the tech industry, I kindly request your assistance in persuading me to move away from incessantly examining my device settings and instead encourage me to embrace and enjoy the seamless functionality of my devices. I love you, Andre. Your valuable insights and guidance in this matter would be highly appreciated. Thank you for your time and consideration. We have a phrase for this. Actually, we have many phrases for this. In the Emacs world, you know, Emacs is a text editor. It's been around for 50 years or something, written by Richard Stallman. And I use it. I love it. I'm like a major fan. But it really lends itself to tweaking. I mean, really lends itself to tweaking. It's hard. Not a day goes by for many people that they don't
do something to make a little adjustment.
You know, add a little code here, a little library there. And it's gotten so bad in the Emacs world. Emacs is from the GNU project, right? And their mascot is a yak. They call it yak shaving.
I love it. Yak shaving.
Don't yak shave.
Show title.
And really, honestly, you're shaving the yak anytime you're spending energy. But see, I also have a theory about this. Maybe, you know how there's a whole bunch of technologies for getting things done? Mm-hmm. You know, we've had to-do lists forever, but then all of a sudden David Allen, he created the getting things done. And you create, you know how the methodology for that is you create 43 folders.
Yes.
And, you know, little manila folders. And then there's it's complicated.
It's very complicated. You have to learn the whole process before you can even get anything done. And
then by the time you learn the process, you go, you know, maybe I'll try the other one.
Yeah. This one's cool, so, but let me go over here.
What I notice, Zettelkasten is the new one, right? Or PKMS, Personal Knowledge Management Systems. What I notice is instead of getting things done, people spend a lot of energy getting the system to get things done. When I was in college, I got a giant piece of probably, I don't know, drywall or something, bulletin board stuff, and 1,000 tacks in every color. And I drew my entire week's schedule. It was 5 feet tall and this wide. And I put different colored thumbtacks in every portion. It took me days to get this whole thing beautifully set up. I'd seen somebody else do it. I thought, that's great. Because I could never get anything done in college. That will get me, because I have very ADD. That will solve my problem.
Yeah.
Beautiful thing. That was it.
You made the monument.
I made the monument.
And then it just served as like a guilt totem.
Though that's the other side of it, right? Then you feel bad because you made the monument, but it doesn't help you at all. So I don't know. These are just. I bet you've done a few things. You're a little OCD in your.
So a lot of this boils down to what's called avoidant anxiety, and essentially, when we feel anxious about something, we don't like to feel anxious about things, and so we will pull ourselves from that and focus it on something else. And so, in the case of tasks, getting tasks done, it's why some people talk about how their house is suddenly clean because they had a big project that they were supposed to be working on. Instead of doing the project you're supposed to be working on, it's like, oh, suddenly that laundry that I haven't done yet really feels like a good thing to do. You get anxious about it, and so you go do something else that will take your mind off of it.
Every writer I know has done this.
Yeah, absolutely.
I knew a writer who would use Windows, but he would make sure to take off Solitaire and Minecraft and every possible distraction. And there's even writers now who have simple computers with just a screen. Mm-hmm. But really, that's treating the symptom.
Exactly. That's not getting to the root of it. And the root of it is, the rutabaga is truly sitting with that anxiety and feeling it and understanding it, and in some cases pushing through it. If it comes to true diagnosed, it's why I'm careful not to say that
some people are actually
OCD.
Literally OCD.
Yeah, genuine OCD. That's a whole other thing that requires a lot of work and a lot of therapy and everything that's involved with that to kind of get it under control. But I think that what's interesting is there's almost a fatigue that can happen. And I think that that's something that I recognize in myself, and maybe you recognize in you, where maybe we once were the people who did so much of that. Every single setting needs to be this way and that needs to be that way.
For years.
But you do it for so long that a fatigue kind of sets in, and it's like, you know what? I'm going to let the system do what it does. Just the other day, I can't remember what show you were doing, but I saw a conversation going on in the Discord that you were involved in where somebody was talking about, it was about smartphone batteries, and the person claimed that they had a bucket full of smartphones whose batteries had swelled.
Right.
I doubt it, but you had mentioned that that whole battery management thing these days is really just a waste of time. In almost every case.
It's the old let go and let God.
Yeah, let go and let
In this
God.
case,
Exactly.
let go and let Jobs. It almost always, in the early days of Windows, you spent a lot of time defragging your hard drive and tweaking your configuration files. It was a big thing. And maybe in the early days of Windows, it was such a rocky operating system, you kind of needed to do that. You don't need to anymore.
Right.
We've matured enough that you don't need to mess around. And you probably should look at the underlying causes for this, as opposed to saying, "Well, the technology really needs my tweaking it." I think it's a way of averting. It's a way of avoidance, as you said, avoiding doing what you need to do. There's a wonderful book which I really like by a guy named Neil Fiore. He's a psychologist, called The Now Habit. There's a lot of these books. By the way, if you really want to procrastinate, start reading all the books about how to ending procrastination, and you will find you never have to worry about it again. But this one I really like, and one of the things he says, which I really like about it, is you need leisure time.
Right. Yes.
That you actually should schedule time not to do anything, which is now increasingly my life. It's okay to play. It's okay to relax. Anyway, maybe, Andre, this is a book, The Now Habit, you might want to take a look at. Unlike a lot of other books about creating habits, it isn't really so much about creating habits. It's about letting go.
Yeah, because it is, by our nature, we've spent so many years as these creatures that needed to move from place to place to track our food, to be able to stay alive. And that results in us having this primal desire to be in control.
Yeah.
And when we are in control and we feel in control, it reduces anxiety. And that anxiety can be anything. So it could be, I always bring this up and then my partner gets upset with me. A lot of people during the pandemic bleached their hair. And the reason an underlying reason for that is because you're feeling out of control of this thing. And so you know that within yourself, you have autonomy. You can do something to yourself. You maybe bleach your hair. Or you do something else.
I didn't do that.
You didn't do that.
I made sourdough bread.
Yeah, you made sourdough.
In excess.
This is something that you have control over, that you can understand.
What I did
that
yesterday?
You can take control.
It's completely unrelated. I threw out my sourdough starter. I just said, you know
your
what?
Poor baby.
This is so dopey. I spend hours a week feeding
you were
a piece
still feeding.
of dough. I threw it out. I don't need sourdough.
You know what?
And then I
You
made
let go.
I used yeast from the store and made a baguette, and it was fabulous.
You
It wasn't
let go,
sour.
and
I let go.
you feel good about it.
Let go and let the yeast.
There
is a philosophy.
There's our answer.
We can all get behind. Another good one is Atomic Habits is a very good one. But I think the Now Habit is really a good one, just because it's really more about playing instead of, striving. I think it's an interesting question. I love it. Anyway, thank you, Andre. I think we all suffer from this, don't we? It's kind of
absolutely.
why we're in tech, right? Tech is a way of avoidance. Your phone is a way of avoidance. That's one of the reasons I was worried about the Vision Pro. It's just one more way of avoiding everything. Now you could seal yourself into a helmet.
I just have a blanket for that.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for the question. Let's get to another one, John Ashley, producer man. Oh, wait a minute. Actually, before we do that, let's pause. The pause that refreshes. If you're watching video, nothing will happen. If you're listening to audio, God willing, and if the creeks don't rise, you will hear an advertisement, and we will return. You're watching Ask the Tech Guys. Micah Sargent, Leo Laporte, Ask the Tech Guys. Somebody said, where did all your old radio shows go? They're still there. It's just we renamed them Ask the Tech Guys on the website. It's all in the...
I was confused by the question, honestly.
Yeah, techguylabs.com still has all the shows. It's just they're not called The Tech Guy. They're called Ask the Tech Guys because we continue to offer shows on that podcast feed with a new name. That's all. Who are we talking to? I see him right now.
I believe it is Chris.
Hi, Chris. Join us in the Stargate, the ATG Stargate. Hi, Chris.
Hello.
Where are you from?
This is Chris from Brooklyn Park, Minnesota.
Love it. How you doing? What can we do for you?
I am doing well. So long-time listener, first-time caller. I remember back watching you on Tech TV and ZDTV and G4 TV and...
It goes on and on and on, doesn't
All
it?
the TVs.
Right.
On and on and on. Yeah. Well,
Call
thank
for
you.
help
I
and
appreciate your
screensavers.
many years of patronage.
Yep, Club Twit member.
Oh, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Double thanks.
So
It's funny, we're going backwards. We're going from, big time ad supported media back to the old days of a patronage, a Patreon or a club in this case, and you give us money and we give you content. And I kind of like that model.
Thank you, Medici family.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Medici.
So my question is, I run the live stream for my church, and we're using a Steinberg UR22 to capture the audio from the board and then using OBS to broadcast it.
Nice.
Problem I keep having is...
So you're only doing audio. You're not doing video.
No, we're doing video
You
as
are
well.
doing
so
video,
we have
okay.
the starts with an E. I can't think of the company name.
Ecamm.
But the HD.
No.
It's
all right.
You've talked about it all the time. It's the HDMI.
Black Magic?
Elgato.
ATEM?
No,
Elgato.
Elgato.
Got it.
The
Yep.
ATEM.
So we use that for the video. We use the UR22 to capture from the soundboard. But it seems that we have to crank that all the way up to where it starts peaking. But then our users still have to have their volume cranked all the way up, and they still barely can hear it. And just wondering...
Sounds like an OBS mixing issue. So you said you're going through OBS as the streaming capability, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And as you'll know, in the OBS interface, there is a mic interface. And
and then that one we have to where it's going into the yellow or the red even on there with the volume. But it starts to where if we get it any louder than that, it starts distorting and clipping.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. So I guess you...
John has a suggestion.
Yeah. Hi, this is John, Ashley, the behind the board. So you're using OBS, right?
Yes.
Okay. So there is an option if you right click on your audio source in OBS, go to advanced audio properties. Normally there's a limit to how much you could crank the audio up. You can actually go beyond that by going to the volume tab next to your audio source. And you can actually go up a little bit further by boosting up your audio if you want to do that as an option.
They have a default pad that they put in.
Yeah.
And you can remove that pad. There may be also other places where it's padded or artificially lowered. Can you see on the Steinberg? I don't think it has meters, does it?
It just has a peak.
You can't really see.
Yeah, it just has the peak on
the
that.
Steinberg is a USB interface. So you've got analog microphones for the minister and the music and stuff, and that's all going into a Steinberg. Is that right?
Nope. So those are going into, we have a Yamaha TS5, I believe.
Got it. They go into a mixer.
Yep. And then we have the mix. We have a mixed out that we control by the tablet because we have a streaming mix directly because we can't do the copyrighted music on the stream and different things like that.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So going into the mixer, you can see the audio levels are fine.
Yep.
And see, okay, so what I think you need to do is if you can, I don't know, rent. I understand it can be expensive, so maybe you rent or something. You get some device that you can use in place of that Steinberg for a week so you can see if the audio levels going into it are low. That gives you, you know what I mean? You need to find where these audio levels are suddenly dropping.
I have to just say, maybe this make you feel better. We're troubleshooting this all the time on our audio levels.
Yeah, that is true.
They're all over the place. And, the way I always want to do it, and it's just a lot of work, is get a tone generator on the other side of the Yamaha, coming into the Yamaha, and set a 0 dB tone going into that and watch the attenuation and try to figure out where the tone's getting attenuated. So in other words, you've got a known 0 dB input going in, and then you can calibrate everything. And if you have to take pads out on OBS, you could do that. It may be the Yamaha's attenuating the signal a little bit. But that's kind of the way, in my opinion, that's the way to do it, is to send a tone down every channel that you know the level coming in is 0 dB. And then if you calibrate everything to be 0 dB all the way through, you should be all right. Something somewhere
it's dropping it.
Is attenuating it.
Yeah, because like I said, if we get it too high on the
you don't want it to
mixer,
clip.
then that peak, is clipping on the UR22, and so I didn't know if there was a better, input on that, and then on the same thing, trying to get a balanced audio out of a PC to go into the mixer.
Right. I mean, that's the problem. It's a nightmare. We go through it all the time. It's a nightmare. What we end up doing is running it through a compressor, the Omnia, at the other end, and trying to get it leveled up. And that might be one thing, is to get a box that's the last thing in the chain before you go into the streaming hardware. What is doing the actual streaming? It's a PC?
PC.
Okay, it's a PC running OBS.
Yep.
Yeah. So maybe that's the place we put an expander or a compressor in between that and the rest of the mix. I don't know. I would try the tone first, just to see if you can see somewhere where it's getting notched down.
Okay.
And then there are ways to handle it. The best thing to do, frankly, is not to call us, but to get on office hours where there are 1,000 audio experts. And, now the difference is they may mock you. We will never mock you.
Yes, you do have to be
They may
careful.
say, well, what are you using that for? The Steinberg U22. Oh, my God. I don't think they will. They're pretty generous. But office hours, officehours.global. It's a Zoom call every morning, 7 days a week. But you can call in. They have a specific time where you can join the Zoom call for free and ask the people who are there. And there's usually 20 or 30 people there. Alex Lindsay leads it. And I'm not sure if there's a specific day that's better for audio or not. But those are the real experts. They may not have practical solutions.
Spend $40,000.
I may say, why aren't you using a sound devices? I don't understand. Yeah. It's funny. We bought you a sound devices USB interface. You hated it. It never worked right.
Yeah.
You wanted a cheaper one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Overconfigured.
Yeah.
And
you can also leave a question for them, and they have they don't have a Discord. They have their own Matanka or Katana or some sort of weird name for their question interface, but you can find out about that at officehours.global. And Andy Carluccio, who is an audio wizard on his own, right? He works for Zoom. He does our Zoom ISO. Says that he thinks Wednesdays are the day for audio on office hours.
Yeah, I'm in the Discord as well. So.
Oh, there you go. There's also a Discord.
I've got that on one monitor. I've got you on one monitor.
Nice.
I've got Chrome open in another monitor.
Nice. Well, that's one of the advantages of the show. It always has been from day one. I never did this show by myself, even when I was doing it on radio 20 years ago. I always had a chat room going, an IRC or a Discord or something, because we can help each other, and that's the best way to do it, I think. Hey, Chris, that's great. I appreciate the work. Are you doing it pro bono, or is this your full-time job?
For the church, I do it pro bono, but
Nice.
I also do a lot of AV events and cons and stuff like that, and
Lovely.
computer support for people. So there is weeks, I will be honest, that I'm yelling at when I've listened to the stream after the time. I'm yelling at the thing. This is what the answer.
Oh, well, from now on, just send me an email, and I'll correct myself at the following show. Appreciate it. Yeah, no, that's why we have that group, right? Get in the Discord.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our user group.
Hey, thank you so much, Chris. It's great to talk to you.
Thank you, and I love the show.
You
so
should be
much.
going to work though. It's Sunday morning. What do you do? Oh, maybe your services are.
I'm already done. We're Central
done.
Time, so
Yeah, that's right.
we're in the church from 10 to noon. So
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks so much.
thank you.
I don't go to church on the NFL season
Or
or any other time.
I was gonna say.
But I have an excuse on Sundays, and I do owe you I don't know what, a case of lobsters, because congratulations to your team
for
beating our
what
team.
reason?
I think I owe you some sourdough.
I thought you meant because I'm missing church. And I thought a case of lobster because I'm missing church. I need like
it's a fair
Sacramento
trade.
oil or something.
Yeah, no, but your team beat my team in the.
My mom's team did beat.
Was your mom
team.
ecstatic?
Just beyond herself. She was worried at first. We both were. And then
it was a very good game, a very tough game, and a hard game to lose.
Isn't it only the second overtime Super Bowl?
Kills me.
I think so.
Oh, it was a very tough one. Our third Super Bowl loss and our second to you of late. So we're very sad. But congratulations to your team.
Good job, Casey and Taylor Swift. Honestly, the biggest thing for me was that Beyonce released new music. That's what I was excited about.
I was talking to Lisa this morning, as you would, as one does, since she's my wife. And
Wait,
she said people seem to be upset that Beyonce made a country song. I said, well, I don't think it's that country. So we listened. There's 2 new songs. The first one we listened to is something about 10 horse carriages.
Yeah, 16 carriages.
16 carriages is not that country.
No.
But Texas Hold'em is country, and you know what? It's the better song. I love it.
It is. Texas Hold'em is the better
fantastic song. So I can't wait for Beyonce's country album.
Neither can I.
Yeah.
She's from Houston and has long talked about doing this. And I mentioned Daddy Lessons in Lemonade was her sort of first homage to country. So I'm looking forward to it.
I love it. And by the way, Dr. Mom said Team Rough did win the Puppy Bowl and got the Lombardi Trophy.
Lombardi Trophy.
So,
that's delightful.
Congratulations to Team Rough. And I'm sorry, we're going to have to apologize to Scott Wilkinson. He's Team Fluff.
Oh, that's right.
So,
sorry, Scott.
Good going.
Everyone's winners.
Everybody's a winner at the Puppy Bowl.
Yeah.
Because
puppies.
We're all winners. All right. Another call. Let's go.
I have a wireless caller ready to
all right.
call
a
in.
Phone call. So here's how it works.
So you just need to press *6 to unmute yourself. That's how it works.
I don't know. Press *6 and join us in the Stargate. Hello, what's your first name? Where are you calling from?
This is Juan from Texas.
Hi, is it Zaquan?
Yeah, Juan.
Quan.
Yeah.
Hi, Quan. Welcome. What can we do for you?
I'm thinking about buying, once I get the budget ready, 4 different MacBooks. I know how you feel about redundancy, but I like to spread out my workload across different machines. My question is, assuming I can't take Apple's word about privacy, how likely would that be for a privacy issue if I were to set up 4 different Apple IDs and assign them to each one of them?
So the first thing to understand about privacy is Apple gets information, of course, as its first party. They make all the equipment. They make the operating system on your phone and all that stuff. They get all the information. So question 1 is, do you trust Apple with that information? I'm sure Apple doesn't give it to anybody else. They do put advertising in there.
Partially.
I think that mostly the Apple keeps it to themselves. They don't tell advertisers anything about you. They don't go, well, here's Quan from Texas. Let me tell you a little bit about him. But they offer you in a bundle with others from maybe perhaps from Texas or if your age group or whatever to advertisers. The real privacy loss is all the software you use on top of that, because they get all that information too. So as soon as you open a browser and go out on the internet, Apple can't control what the internet sees. They try they have the private relay, and they have some, stuff. But Apple, so I wouldn't worry about the Apple ID. I would be more concerned about what else you do.
Yeah, exactly. Where you're going, you want to have a VPN and all that kind of jazz.
Yeah. Like one would be strictly for social media. Another would be for casual web browsing. Another could be for like security research, like different ones. I just want to make sure that sort of model with different Apple IDs is going to make me less likely to fall victim to something like a Target advertising scandal.
So let me ask you this.
Like with the pregnant.
Why do you, because if you really want to avoid Apple tracking the things, Are there things that you need that are part of having an Apple ID that are important to you? Do you plan on using iMessage? Do you plan on using photos?
I see where you're going.
Yeah,
you're going to say you don't have to have an Apple ID. Doesn't matter if you have an Apple ID or not. Apple knows who you are.
No, I know
right?
that. Yes, but go ahead.
I'm one of those. Like I don't. Everyone. It's not something that's like concerning, but it's more like, how should I put it? I want to control the amount of information, and if they have different information on me,
I understand
on
what
different,
you're saying.
like
Right.
aliases.
Yeah.
Like how
Father Robert is the
complete.
king of this, by the way. Robert Balasser, the digital Jesuit, one of our regulars. He is boasted many times about his fuzzing, his digital fuzzing, where he creates personas, he creates different IDs, and he blasts the internet with conflicting information so that at some point who he is irrelevant. He's just a dot in all of this cloud of information. And so he feels like that's a good way for him to preserve his privacy. And I think that, I personally, and I think you're probably the same. I mean, here we are, we're sitting on a camera letting anybody watch us. We're not really privacy fanatics.
In terms of management, I do have 2 Apple IDs because I have one that I keep for work and then one that I have for personal. And it's not difficult as long as you remember the password.
But remember, Apple knows, you have a unique identifier for that Mac. They see your IP address. They pretty much know it's you.
Yeah, and if you're logging in the same router and the same...
They all come from the same IP address. Maybe you use a VPN. That would help.
But if you ever accidentally GPS, your location...
The only way to be truly private in this modern world, because we're so interdependent, is to move to a cabin in the woods and not have any utilities. No phone, no electricity.
I don't feel like going Amish yet.
Yeah, that's going Amish. I think it's a very interesting question we deal with all the time, which is, well, how much privacy is needed and how do you achieve it? Is a little privacy better than no privacy?
I'd say to the level of like casual limits, like where I have different, I guess, machines for different purposes.
Yeah, but you're not separating it really from Apple's point of view or anybody's point of view. You've heard of the term fingerprinting, right? This is a big thing that Google's trying to find.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, and Steve talks about this on Security Now. The idea is, I can see when you come to my website. Sure, I can see there's a couple of things that are public. Your IP address, if you sign in, I know it's you. But there's also all this information that I'm getting from your browser about how much RAM you have. It's amazing, what the screen resolution is. So much stuff that with about 10 to 20 data points, they can uniquely fingerprint you. And at that point, they know they don't know it's Quan. They know there's this dot on the map in Texas that we know who that is, and we can associate all the stuff that happens.
Right. This user, doesn't matter if we got their name, we don't have their name, but this behavior, it all is linked and we can track it to that person. I think you're wasting your money if you buy 4 MacBooks to try to avoid this. It's a wash. You're not doing yourself a favor.
I wouldn't say, but mitigate as much as humanly possible. And if I use anti-fingerprinting browsers.
Well, remember that Brave had a feature which blocked fingerprinting and was very aggressive about it. They turned it off because guess what? It turned out if you were using that anti-fingerprinting software, that was another data point in the fingerprinting, and it really actually made it harder to be anonymous. So they actually have turned off that anti-fingerprinting technology in the Brave browser, and this is the problem: is we're all spewing data exhaust around us at all times, and you can mix it up, and you can try to plug up the exhaust pipe a little bit and stuff like that. But all it takes is one slip. And all of a sudden, all these separate data points. Remember, they've got massive amounts of data and lots of processing and AI, and they go, whoop, oh, I got it. It's Quan. And then you're done. And so I think you could spend so much time and energy trying to prevent that, but you just never know if you're doing it. And you're fighting a losing battle, in my opinion. Now, people say, well, Leo, don't you believe in privacy? Sure. But I think it's almost impossible in our modern interdependent age to be truly private. And I don't know what mitigation. I mean, if you've got a leaky sieve and you plug a few of the holes, the water's still going to come out.
Yeah, and if you have more than one leaky sieve, you still have more than
have leaky sieves.
4 leaky sieves.
I honor what you want to do, and I think it's a great idea.
It's more about taking back control.
Yeah, and you maybe
really,
that
more than anything.
Yeah, I understand. It'll make you feel better. I think you could have do better with one Mac and say 4 Docker containers that each one went separate, where it looked like different machines, or emulators that looked like different machines, or I mean, it's pretty hard.
Yeah,
It's pretty hard.
Again, because this is what you have one chance to mess up, and then it's all of the money and the time that you've spent is done. I think that there's certainly a level of sort of reasonable taking back, which is to the things that you talked about. Yes, use a browser that protects you a little bit more. Yes, use a VPN as much as possible. Yes, in every app that you're using, try to turn off analytics. But to take it to the next level, which is, more complicated than that, and then to even take it to the next level of, I have a label on the outside of this machine, it's the only one that I do the security research on, and this and that, then it's so much, the onus is so much on you, and the opportunity for undoing all of the work that you've done is so great that, I don't know, I'd feel sad thinking of you coming to that day whenever you accidentally reveal information about yourself, and then suddenly all of those 4 machines
You could use Linux instead of Mac at cheap PCs. You might have a little more privacy. There are certainly Linux
burner
dusters.
Chromebooks
That doesn't have telemetry.
Yeah.
Basically, minimal.
I think Apple has telemetry. Microsoft has telemetry. The commercial operating systems will always have telemetry. It's hard to know. I mean, I'm inclined to trust Apple because privacy is their brand, and they certainly make money being private. But they're still a for-profit company.
Yes, exactly.
And they have a duty to their stakeholders to maximize profit.
I think that Apple tax is a lot of the peace of mind, like extra payment.
That's an interesting point of view. Yeah, I'm paying extra for Apple hardware, so they don't need to. But why do they put ads then on iPhones? Why are they putting ads in the Apple App Store on iPhones? Why are they selling those ads? I don't. Okay. They probably don't need that money, but why are they doing that? We had this conversation last Tuesday on Mac Break Weekly, and I think it's both Alex Lindsay, who's a fervid Apple supporter, and Andy Anako, who's perhaps a little bit less Apple fanboy, both agreed that this was Alex called it an unforced error on Apple's part, that selling ads really kind of undercuts their promise of privacy. It gives them a financial incentive to collect data about you. Mm-hmm. And then we have to question everything. So, but they, I don't know why they do it, but they do it. I guess pressure from
a better question is how much protection do I get from the sandboxing and the extra profiles that are built into the operating systems, as opposed to doing manually everything myself, the way my method that I propose.
I think you should do it if it makes you feel good. I hate to see you spend all that money on 3 extra laptops, but if that makes you feel good, I think you should do it. And it's a kind of a fun little hobby, and it might make you feel better about
It can reduce that anxiety we were talking about.
Yeah, about being out in public. I would say
Like,
that
they only get part of the information, not the whole thing, and they don't know who it is exactly. They don't have enough information to work with.
Right.
Which I'm okay with having a little bit of information, but not like the invasive amount that they're expecting or wanting.
It's
about taking back control.
Yeah, I understand. Who is it that you don't want to have your information?
I'd say the social medias that have no regard to privacy at all. I think you know who I'm referring to.
Like Facebook and, Twitter.
That's why I'm very selective.
Yeah.
About what I post.
So here's a story that you might be interested in. You may remember earlier this week, there was a leak that said there's Russians have some. So I want the world to know what the Russians are up to. It turns out we think it was they're planning a nuclear satellite destruction system. But this is a Wired piece by Del Cameron in which he says, what it's really about is Section 702 of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. This allows, basically the Patriot Act allows intelligence agencies to buy information about us. And there are plenty of us who believe that should not be legal, that they should have to get a search warrant or a subpoena to do that. But this is the paragraph. The impetus for killing the deal, Wire has learned, was an amendment that would end the government's ability to pay U.S. companies for information rather than serving them with a warrant. This includes location data collected from cell phones that are capable, et cetera, et cetera. The data purportedly gathered for advertising purposes, but is collected really by data brokers and frequently sold to U.S. spies and police agencies. Congress is never going to pass a bill that will prevent that, even though it's in our interest, in our privacy interest. So the reason I ask you, who are you worried about, is it's one thing if you're worried that Procter & Gamble knows that you're buying adult diapers. It's another thing to worry about if the federal government has decided, for whatever reason, to collect information about your location everywhere. They're both reasonable things that people would like to block. But honestly, as long as our Congress is so deep in the pockets of the intelligence agencies that they will never prevent them from collecting data, I think it's not going to matter that much. That this information is going to be gathered and is going to be sold. It's going to be sold to Procter & Gamble and the CIA and the FBI and your local cops.
Actually,
and I don't blame you for worrying, but there's two different threat models there, Yeah.
It's also the bad actors that some of the information gets sold to that will try to scam innocent victims out of.
That's absolutely. There's a third. You're right. There's a very good. In fact, if you just said to me, "I don't want to be a victim," that would be by itself a good reason to protect yourself. In fact, we have an advertiser that's part of the ad. And I actually added it to the ad because we experienced this. I've mentioned this before, when our CEO supposedly sent out a message to all her direct reports saying, buy Amazon gift cards. I'm in a meeting. I can't do it. Could you send them to me? And fortunately, they all were smart enough not to respond. But the reason that this bad actor knew our CEO's phone number and her direct reports and their phone numbers and was able to do this campaign was because of data brokers that have collected all this information. So we do what we can, and every company should probably do this, and maybe even individuals, to scrub this information. But I don't have high hopes that when you see that Congress is so active in saying, well, we wouldn't want to hobble our law enforcement in any way. it's the third bill of its kind to fail in as many months because law enforcement.
That's pretty chilling.
Yeah. It's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And so government's buying it. And as long as these data brokers can sell to governments and private individuals, by the way, there's nothing that stops a bad guy from buying this information or the Chinese government from buying this information. So I just don't know what I think you're right to want to protect yourself, but then I don't know how to do it. I really don't. In fact, even if Congress passed a law against Section 702 and said, well, you have to have a subpoena, I think in the long run it won't change much.
It also comes up if one of those systems is compromised, hopefully not, all the information that they'll get is like pretty much useless because they won't get all the information. That's why there is one that a machine dedicated to web browsing.
Yeah,
I
it's
guess
like a burner
security
phone.
research that has very little to no personal information about myself, and that's stored somewhere else.
Yeah, our argument here, or it's not even an argument. The point that we're trying to make in the end is that, unlike a burner phone, which costs $60 or whatever, this is a much bigger investment. So we understand where you're coming from, and understand the idea here. You've made the point. It's just simply a matter of whether the two of us suggest that you should spend that much money when you run the risk of not actually being able to do that much to mitigate your privacy in the end, that the investment may not be worth it. But we get what you're saying and understand the idea that you have here. And again, it's a very noble cause to want to fight back, particularly when it comes to privacy, because, we're all a little bit like the frogs in the boiling water at times, although that in itself is a fallacy.
This is a really good question, Quan, and I don't know what the answer is, and I don't know if there is any effective way to do it. I would say don't buy 4 laptops.
Yeah, that's where it boils down to for us. It's just,
I think that you're not going to gain much, and you're going to lose $10,000. Buy 1 laptop.
Thank you for your question.
Good laptop. Thank you, Quan. Hey, is Chris Marquardt ready and waiting in the wings?
Yeah, 1.
We have. Oh, he's at 1, so we got another hour to Chris Marquardt. But I think this would be a good time for you and me to have a moment of zen.
The pause that refreshes. That was a crossword hint the other day.
The pause that refreshes?
Yeah. And I said Coke.
Very good.
So thank you for that.
Did I tell you that?
Yeah.
Oh. This is why I would be so good at Jeopardy. It's all the old stuff that I still know.
It's just your anxiety that's keeping you from doing it.
It is.
Let go, Leo.
No. I don't want to be humiliated.
I know. I understand.
There was there was a woman.
See, you can't do those. You don't pay attention to those stories.
If you're negative at the end of the first 2 rounds, you just disappear and you don't get to do Final Jeopardy. And the other day there was just a hole where she used to be.
And the CIA came and took her away.
It would be so humiliating. You're watching Ask the Tech Guys, Micah Sargent, Leo Laporte. Let's do another thing. Do we have voicemails, we have emails, and we have calls?
I have another caller I just picked up on.
Let's see who John Ashley's been picking up.
*6.
Yes.
Please press *6.
Hey there.
Hey, what's your name and where you calling from?
Hey, it's Tim. I'm in Minnesota too.
Another Minnesotan.
Hello, Minnesota.
Well, sure. What's up? What can we do for you?
I'm on some sketchy Bluetooth headphones, but that's not what I'm calling about. Question on the last one. I'm moving from one Mac to another, and although I have it backed up on Time Machines, I really don't want to clone everything on the first one to the second one. I'll create a backup clone using super duper carbon copy. I don't really want to. Yeah, I really don't want to clone on a hard drive to save all my files.
You know what? You're cutting in and out.
Cutting out
to the point where I can't really figure out what you're saying. You want to clone your Mac. You using Carbon Copy Cloner or Super Duper, both are excellent. You don't want to clone, you just want a backup? Is that what you're saying?
Okay, yeah, I switched. Hopefully this is better.
Much better.
Yeah, great. So Yeah, I don't really want an external hard drive that has a clone of my first computer. I just want to have all my files. Is there a way just to copy all my files to an external SSD?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So there are multiple ways. One, Apple has it all built in with Time Machine,
which works very, very well.
It does work quite well.
Yeah.
When you go through the Time Machine process of transferring to the new machine, you can choose not to do a full clone, but you can instead kind of select, oh yes, I want my documents, I want these to come over, I want my photos, my videos, and so you kind of get to choose piecemeal what you want to come over. That's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is to simply open up your new computer and make it like new. You basically say, no, I don't want to do that Time Machine transfer, and then from there you can just take the files from your old machine, put them on an SSD, and then bring them over to the new machine. So in that way, it would take a little bit longer, but you'd have more kind of individual control if you wanted to do it that way. But yeah, Apple has it built in with Time Machine.
And the nice thing about Time Machine is files focused, right? It's not your operating system. It's not a bootable system. It's just, and it's even better. It's not just one copy of the file. It's every version of the file going back in time. That's why they call it Time Machine. So you can say, well, oh gosh, I made a change to my novel. I changed Mrs. Higgins to Mr. Higgins. Whoops, I want to go back to Mrs. Higgins. Time Machine will have that previous version and all the way back. So I think Time Machine's a good choice. I believe in belt and suspenders. I wouldn't just use Time Machine. I also think Super Duper is great, or Carbon Copy Cloner, or even just a simple synchronization program. I actually think that I'm fully protected because I use a free open source program called SyncThing, which works Linux, Mac, and Windows, and it synchronizes folders between machines. So, for instance, SyncThing is on this machine. In fact, I can even show you, I think, SyncThing running, and it is connected to a bunch of my other machines. So let me open the SyncThing interface here, and it's always kind of running in the background. And it's copying what I choose to have it copy. Now, in this case, I have my audio folder, my documents folder, my photos, my source code folder. This is the default sync folder. That's where I put things like tax returns, stuff I want on machines, but I don't want stored on a public cloud anywhere. And then these are the devices, the other machines. Brayton is a Synology NAS. So right now it's disconnected, but that's where that would go there. And these are all other machines. They say disconnected because SyncThing is sleeping on those machines. This is my main machine at home, and you could see it's synchronizing these files. So this is a really great way for free of copying things to multiple computers or even to a NAS, to a backup. And it's very granular. You can say exactly what gets copied. And if you want it to be a backup, you could say only receive, don't receive, or rather only send, don't receive changes. You can change how it works so that it is not copying deletions. So I would say use Time Machine. Excellent. Easy to use, always there. Very simple, built into Apple. And then SyncThing, which is a little more... Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I didn't want to move any of the files on the old computer to the new one. I wanted to have them available, though, as an external hard drive I could access from the new
Well, you don't
computer.
have to restore from the Time Machine. That's why you use the Time Machine, and just don't restore from it. That's all.
Okay, so I'll be able to access those files on a backup drive that are on a Time Machine backup?
I see what you're saying. Okay, so let me clarify, and you can say, yes, this is what I'm saying. You're saying that you will go from the start. You got a new machine, and you plan on just having that be a brand new machine. You might
none of that old stuff.
None of the old stuff. And then what you want is to be able to plug in a drive, and then from that drive, you can mess with the files, but you don't want to take those files off of that drive and put them on the computer necessarily.
Super Duper will do that perfectly. Carbon Copy
that is where you would not use Time Machine. That is correct.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I do have a Time Machine backup on it, but I didn't want to put anything on the new computer, and I didn't want to copy the operating system onto another backup.
Yeah, you can't really dig through a Time Machine folder without the Time Machine running. And it's that would be a bad choice for that. Yeah, use Carbon Copy or Super Duper, and just don't make a bootable backup. Just have it copy, and it can copy just the folders you want or all the folders. And again, I would still look at SyncThing. I find that really useful because this computer's here at work, but it's still syncing the one at home. I mean, just really love that. It's a very, very handy tool. So there's two ways to do it.
Do you have a preference over the? Do you have a
I use
preference
Super
over the
Duper.
carbon copy?
I like Super Duper.
Yeah, Super Duper I think has fewer compatibility issues. I've run into some compatibility issues with Carbon Copy Cloner.
Yeah, I've used Super Duper for years.
Okay, and they're both paid options now, right? There's not a free
You can
one
use
on
Super
either one
Duper
of
for
those.
free, except for a few features. I think you can just use the free version of Super Duper to do what you want to do.
Okay.
Shirt pocket
Okay,
software.
great. Thanks for your help.
Hey, thanks for the call. Here is
Thanks, and all your shows, Club Twit member. Take care.
Oh, yay. We love our Club Twit members. You want to know how to become a Club Twit member?
I would love to know how to
It's
become
easy.
a Club Twit member.
You go to twit.tv/clubtwit. That's it.
That's all.
$7 a month, ad-free versions of all the shows. You get a lot of content. Although we've changed something a little bit. I should mention this. You get a lot of content in Club Twit that you don't normally get outside of Club Twit. It's kind of a soft paywall, though, because we've decided as of this week to make all the shows we do, Club Twit and non-Club Twit, available via audio. So you can subscribe to, for instance, iOS Today audio version. Now, if you want the video version, you need to be in the club. And for some of our shows, like Hands on Macintosh, Hands on Windows, iOS Today, the video is a huge part of it. But we thought, well, we'll at least put the audio out. People can get that because we understand not all of you can afford $7 a month. You also get access to the Discord, and we've mentioned that several times. It's a really great place to hang. And then you get some stuff that we don't put out anywhere, like things we talk about before and after shows, and Stacy's book club and other things like that. Twit.tv/clubtwit. The most important thing to know is, financially speaking, you've probably seen it. A lot of podcast networks going out of business, a lot of shows disappearing forever. And that's because the ad support for podcasting has dwindled, just as it's dwindled for the web and a lot of other places. We don't want to be beholden to ad revenue. We want to keep going even if we have no ad revenue. So please support us, and we will. That's all it takes. If everybody who listens contributes $7 a month, actually, I might move to Mexico and take all the money if that happened. It would be. I won't do that. But seriously, we only need about 5%, and we wouldn't need advertisers. We'd go forever. That would be making us as much money as we make from ad sales. So right now it's about 2%. So if you're not yet a member, if you're not one of the 1 in 50 people who listen who actually pay the $7, would you please consider it? Twit.tv/clubtwit. In our club, Scooter X, in our Discord, posted this story, and it really brings home. Remember, last week Johnny Jett got scammed.
Yeah.
Charlotte Coles writes for New York Magazine. She writes for The Cut. She's their financial advice columnist. And good on her for being honest, because it would be so tempting just to hide this. But it's so valuable to tell people it can happen to anybody. The day I put $50,000 in a shoebox and handed it to a stranger, I never thought I was the kind of person to fall for a scam. It
is in one word, brave of this person.
Yeah, because it makes her sound like she's stupid, but she's not. This happens to anybody, can happen to anybody. There was a guy called, knew her home address, her social security number, the names of her family members. He knew that our 2-year-old son was playing in the living room. He said, "My home is being watched. My laptop has been hacked. We're in imminent danger. I can help you, but only if you cooperate. Don't tell anyone about our conversation, not your spouse. Don't talk to police or talk to a lawyer. Put $50,000 in a shoebox and meet me outside." What? Okay. So I would read this if you want to read, but you can see how scary that must have been for her.
Oh my gosh, horrifying.
Right? He said he was an investigator with the FTC, and she believed it. It's a fairly common but fairly sophisticated scam. Everyone should read this because it helps defend you against this, and more importantly, because I think everybody who watches our show is probably smart enough not to fall for this, except for Johnny Jett. But no, poor Johnny. But it's really important. We get emails and calls from people all the time that say, "This guy says he's got my computer, control my computer. He's got my camera. And he's got videos of me watching porn that he's going to distribute." Mm-hmm. Oh my God, what can I do? do anything. This is all a scam. I know so many people who've fallen for these various scams. They're horrific. Good on Charlotte Coles for writing this piece, because I'm sure it's deeply embarrassing for her, but it will help you all. And it's just tragic. Of course, she's never going to see that money again. All right.
Do you want to do a voicemail?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Tom from Atlanta, and based on a recent episode, y'all mentioned NextDNS as a valuable tool, so I went and downloaded it and generally think it's great. However, I've got an Android phone, and when I try to connect to Android Auto in my car, it tells me that it can't connect because of the VPN. Obviously, I can turn that off, but that's rather inconvenient. So I'm trying to figure out how to whitelist Android Auto. However, it doesn't seem I can whitelist apps, only domains. And when I look at the logs, I can't figure out the domain for Android Auto. I'm looking as I'm actually trying to connect to it, and it doesn't seem to show up as what domain is being blocked, but appears more the app itself. So I just didn't know if there was a way to whitelist an app in NextDNS, or if I'm kind of out of luck. Thanks so much for all you guys do. I appreciate it, and have a wonderful day. Take care.
Maybe the easiest thing is what I would say would be to get a program called Tasker on your Android device. That can be set up that every time you pair to a Bluetooth, or even that you go near your car, there's a variety of triggers, it turns off NextDNS. NextDNS has an app. If you haven't yet installed that on your Android device, install that, and then use it's like shortcuts. You could use shortcuts to do the same thing on an iPhone. Use a program, a third-party program that notices that, oh, you're getting in the car. Let's disable this now.
I checked the. Whoa, that was weird. I checked the knowledge base from NextDNS, and here's what people are suggesting for this particular method. So normally on Android, what you do is you download the NextDNS app and you have it install the VPN that way. If instead of doing it that way, you go into your Android settings and you choose private DNS, and then you pop in the details from NextDNS, that seems to mitigate the issue.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's just that it's using, it's using DNS over TLS/QUIC instead of a different method. And so because of that, for some reason, it seems to let it bypass Android Auto. So again...
Oh, that's a good trick.
Yeah, instead of using the NextDNS app itself, just go into your settings for your Wi-Fi or for your network settings, click private DNS, and then type in the ones from NextDNS.
This is a common problem even on iPhones and with Relay, the iPhone private relay.
Yes.
It's not unusual if you're using VPN-like software to have problems with pairing with your car, a variety of things. So it's always good to know how to disable that. And I think CarPlay uses Wi-Fi. So CarPlay looks like you're going on a website to your phone, and NextDNS is going to say, well, I don't know what this is, and it's going to turn on, and it's not going to work. So this is NextDNS. I'm in my configuration now. It's a free service for the first 300,000 queries a month. You'd think that'd be enough, but I've put it on everything, so I pay. But it's not. It's $1 a month, I think. NextDNS allows you to have multiple configurations. That's another choice. You perhaps could have a configuration that's specifically for your Android device and one for your home. I have several. There are a variety of ways to do it. I really like it. NextDNS.io. It's I guess it's a security tool would be the way I'd talk about it. These are the tabs, things, but it's all doing all of this simply by being your DNS provider. So these are all things you can turn off or on. It's got ad blockers, very much like any of the other ad blocking things. You can even ad block specific stuff. So NextDNS has a workaround. It sounds like that works pretty well. Here's the parental control. Here's the deny list. The allow list, obviously, if you knew.
Yes, if you knew exactly
what address it was. Your phone, let me think. Yeah, I don't know enough about how CarPlay works.
Right.
To know what IP address or server it would be using. But you could see here, in the last 30 days on all my devices, 43,000 blocked queries. Those are mostly ads, but some of them could be even security queries. So 12.69% of all my work out there is blocked. A lot of it is
metrics
iCloud metrics. This may be for Quan. This would be something to look at, blocking things that I don't want to have my information. Sometimes, though, notice it's blocking Apple and Milio. Some things you might want to, on Dropbox there may be reasons you want to block that. There may be reasons you don't. Milio probably don't want to have it blocking because it's sharing photos. You see, most of the queries from Apple, of all things, these of the 5 dominant internet companies. That's because I'm on a Mac. GAFAM. Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple, and Microsoft. You can also see where traffic's coming from. These analytics are really fantastic. I really like NextDNS. There's also a full log, which you could go to and see everything that's happening. But that's the work, right? Can we put that?
Yep. We'll have a link to it in the show notes for sure.
From them into the show notes. Good question. Thank you for the call. What else now, John Ashley? What else, my friend?
Hold on, I gotta refresh my little dashboard.
Refresh your dash.
Refresh the dash. CarPlay has disconnected.
I'm gonna pick up on Randy next.
Randy,
where are you calling from?
Calling from Sarasota, Florida.
Beautiful Sarasota. Hi,
hello.
Oh,
Randy.
And look, we see is that the Okefenokee behind you?
That's Monet's garden.
Oh, wow. Nice. Very pretty.
I was over there at one time.
I love that.
Anyway, my question is about what Apple used to call universal control, and it's gone through different changes, never really worked very, very well. And now, rather than really being able to control 2 computers with one, are you still there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Rather than being able to control 2 computers, what it does is it extends. I have 2 minis, an M2 and an M1. It extends the M2 mini to a monitor attached to my M1, and I'm basically running all my programs from the M2. I'm not sure why I need to have the M1, except when I first start up, all the sound comes through speakers connected to my M1, but I can always switch that back. So it's a little bit of an effort, but I can get it done. But the other problem is now, if I want to stream and I from Comcast, it may only be from Comcast. I have no other issues with Apple or Disney, anything like that. It'll play the audio, but not the video. So a couple of weeks ago, Father Robert talked about it at the CES, this new dock from Targus. And
he brought it. Yeah.
It's very complicated. And I wasn't sure if this would be something which might work. It has multiple ports, and do I need any special cables? And where there are enough ports to hook up my microphone and my camera? And I don't know if you guys have any insight to this.
Well, going back to the Comcast thing, that does sound like so a lot of these streaming services have built-in protections that prevent someone from essentially streaming content to a device that is actually capturing the content that's on that device. And so the idea is you don't want this content that isn't yours to be able to be captured and then shared online. And so over time, there have been these little tools that get added, this little extra flavor that gets added to the signal. And people will use special methods like an HDMI splitter that will take out that little extra bit and allow it to stream to where it needs to. And so it sounds to me like with Comcast, it's misrecognizing what you're doing with universal control, thinking that you were trying to stream it to a device that is actually capturing it. And that happens from time to time. I've had it happen where I move something that I'm streaming from one screen to the other, and in the moment it goes, oh, nope, this monitor doesn't support, I can't think of what it's called off the top of my head, but the technology that allows it to realize that it's just a screen. So that's where that issue might be coming into play. Overall, yeah, universal control, because it tries to do what Apple does, which is just work, at times it can be a little bit hard to go in and properly set the settings how you want them. It sounds like you're kind of having to configure them every time. But let's talk about the dock from Targus.
So what do you want to do? You want to have both minis operating, and then sometimes you're using one, sometimes you're using the other?
Well, I like to use 3 monitors. So with these minis, I can only connect the most 2 monitors to one.
I see.
So I'd like to have my one keyboard and mouse running both of them, so I can have my 3 monitors.
So if you had one device that could run 3 monitors, you'd be happy with that.
Yeah, sure.
That'd be better, right?
That would probably be better.
Yeah. It's a weird, I don't know if it's an artificial limitation or not that Apple puts on its Apple Silicon hardware as to the number of monitors it can drive. The Air that you have can only drive one external monitor, right?
I think it's
but I've
artificial
seen
to
companies
an extent,
come up with solutions that let you drive multiple monitors. So I'm not sure.
I've never been able to get this to drive more than one monitor. The Mac Studio that I have, I have 3 monitors connected to it.
Right.
It required an external dock, kind of like that. But yeah. So
this, I don't know if this would do it or not.
No.
This is what Father Robert was showing. It's kind of a KVM, really, from Targus. It's expensive. It's $500. So I would only buy it if you could get return on it. The idea is that you have 2 computers. This is why I was asking what your use case is. I don't know if this is really what you want, but you could have, they call it their triple video, which I guess implies, yes, you can have 3 monitors, full KVM control with single or dual host PC. But what you really, I mean, this is really to answer the problem. Somebody who has 2 computers and wants to use them both. That's not what you're trying to do. You're trying to just have 3 monitors, period.
Well, that's true, but I mean, I have the 2 computers.
You have the hardware, right?
So I was trying to see if I can still make it to work that way.
I don't know if it'd be smooth.
What do you do with the 3 monitors? You're not playing games on all 3, right?
No. I have different programs on the different ones. So
speed may not be important on at least one of those, right?
No.
Can he run a USB monitor? There are ways around getting multiple monitors on these things, right?
I don't think so.
No?
Not that I've been able to achieve.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remind me again, what is your main gripe with using universal control for this? Because that does seem to be, as I'm thinking about it, the best. How did it change?
The initial gripe was it kept changing how it would work. It never really worked all that well. And now it seems to be working fairly well, except for this issue with the the Comcast. And every time I kind of have to, if I wake my computers up in the morning, I have to kind of rearrange all the windows and everything. That's
doable. But it is annoying. I understand. Okay, so there is one thing that you can try when you're saying that you're having to reset the displays regularly. If you reset the NVRAM. If you reset the NVRAM on your Mac, the PRAM and the SMC, that can sometimes fix this issue. So I've had this issue in the past, and we'll include a link in the show notes to an Apple support document, and it will essentially clear out the part of the system that is holding on to your display configurations. And if those get corrupted, then you will often have this issue where when you start the machine, everything's rearranged every time instead of sticking how it is. So it could be that it's something as simple as that. And fixing this would give you what you're asking for, which is to have universal control working and for you to not have to have the unfortunate issue of trying to redo it every time. So that's a short-term.
So have you ever tried the StarTech solution? This is I always wonder if this is a good solution or not. I see it all the time. StarTech makes a display link driver, startech.com, and then also makes a dual head graphics adapter.
Okay, see, now that's the part that you would need, right?
Yeah, but it will apparently. I mean, I'm seeing somebody
probably just treats it as one
on
monitor.
the Apple discussions group who says he's running 3 monitors connected to an M1 Mac and my flight simulator. He also has 2 additional iPads connected to it. You know, he's playing X-Plane. He uses a display link driver from StarTech, StarTech.com. And, of course, he has to use the StarTech dual head graphics adapter to USB-C on Mac Mini. He says they're not mirroring. They're all unique, distinct displays. So that's why I was wondering. I mean, I've heard people talk about this solution in the past.
I just never had one that was successful. But I guess conceptually, if the system is kind of tricking it into thinking it's just one display, but it's actually 2, you know, it's as if it's one panel.
Yeah.
But because I don't know how Mac OS's built-in display management is going to work with that.
Even their ad copy on their website shows 3 monitors on a Mac laptop.
Well,
so
that's something.
Now that's a MacBook. So you know what? This is probably our. I mean, if you really wanted to try to get this working, I would take a look at this rather than the Targus.
All right.
I do see people using this. You know what? We should probably order one and just see if we can get it to work.
Yeah, it would be good to check it out.
Yeah.
Even now, I kind of run out on a porch when I try and hook in my a camera and a microphone and an external driver or something.
Well, that's normal. Yeah. So let me see. This is StarTech's. See how much this is. It's cheaper than the Targus. $293. It's their USB-A, USB-C docking with hybrid universal triple monitor support. It's got DisplayPort and HDMI. You have to run a driver on the Mac to make this work. Anybody in the Discord use a solution like this? I'm curious. Now, since you have a dual computers, maybe you just don't even want to do this. I mean, the advantage of this is you can have one program using all 3 screens, like X-Plane, like a flight simulator. But if you don't mind having 2 different computers running, I guess you could continue to do that. If continuity isn't working, is that what they call it now? Continuity?
Universal control.
It's universal control. If that's not working for you, there are third-party solutions. For years, I used something called Synergy. Now, I think Synergy's been up and down. Harold Finch in our Discord says he's still using this. They were open source for a while, and they got acquired. They can maybe have gone through periods of bugginess, but at least you could download this and try this in a replacement for Apple's universal control. So you put Synergy on all the computers, or both. Well, in your case, both computers. One is a server, one's a client. You set them up properly. You can drag your mouse across all 3 screens. You can use the same keyboard on all 3 screens. It solves that problem, and I've used it with Linux and Windows and Mac. So, but I haven't used it in some time, and I seem to remember there were some issues with it. So, Synergy is a software-only KVM.
All right, I'll try that.
We're giving you a bunch of solutions. This is from a company called Symless, SYMLESS, and I think you can try this. It's a commercial program, but I think you can try this for free. And I see that they've updated it, which is good news because I think it was getting a little creaky. So this might be exactly what you want to do to replace universal control. All right. So that's another choice. Give you a variety of ways to do this.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Enjoy the swamp. I feel bad. It bothers me that Apple can't seem to, do you think it's their graphics processor? They just can't seem to make these and this is what a lot of people want, multiple monitors.
Yeah, I think that it's simply if you don't want any issues, then you keep people from adding too many. You know what I mean? It's like a performance drop kind of thing.
Right. We used Synergy on the Skyposaurus. I remember that. Yeah. Way back in the day. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and an interesting solution that you had two machines going.
Yeah, that's one way to do it. I would, if you only have one computer, I should probably buy this StarTech thing and try it, because I keep seeing people talk about it.
Yeah, I'd like to know if it actually does work.
It must, right?
Yeah, I mean, if people are saying
it's only $300.
Well, it's pretty pricey.
Cheaper than the Targus.
That's true.
And you get more dock, you get more
cheaper
ports.
than another Mac too. Yeah.
Yeah. But he's got an M1. He's got a couple of Mac Minis lying around. So, all right, John Ashley, I see you getting ready to speak.
I'll just pick up on another caller.
Yes.
*6 caller.
Oh, we picked you up, but now you have to unmute.
Something happened.
Hello?
Hello. What's your first name and what's the city?
Greg from Knoxville.
Hey, Greg. How are things in Knoxville today?
Hi. It's a little chilly, but we'll take it.
Chilly for Knoxville is what?
This morning it was about 24.
Oh, that's chilly.
That's
okay.
You win.
Sometimes it's about 45 degrees here, and we go, oh my God, we're dying. It's freezing. It's so cold. And people mock us, but that's because we're thin-blooded Californians. So what's up? What can we do for you?
I need help with a New Year's resolution.
Oh, yes, me too. What's yours?
Okay, so I had a 2010 iMac with an i3 processor.
2010 iMac.
I had like an iPhoto library on. And when iPhoto was sort of discontinued and Photo became the primary library,
yes,
I switched to Photo but didn't import my iPhoto library because I had a corruption problem. And I'm trying to figure out how I can bring those photos over into iPhoto.
Can you still access the i3? Can you still get on the old computer?
I can.
Okay.
I can. It still runs.
So what you want to do is you're going to go to your Photos folder. Or maybe it's your Pictures folder. And you're going to find the iPhotos library, which is a giant blob.
Okay.
Right? Mm-hmm. Now, you said it's corrupted. If it's really corrupted, this isn't going to work. But if it's just a little corrupted.
Yeah, I can still like access them, but like when I go in, like there would be like a thumbnail version and then the higher resolution version.
Yeah. Okay. What you want is the originals, right? And then you'll import them into your new Photos library. So it's there.
Right.
And this is a trick of the way Apple does its file system. What looks like a single file called the iPhotos, or I guess it's iPhotos library, is actually a folder. It's just they hide the contents of the folder. If you right-click it, the drop-down menu, you see packaged contents. Have you ever done this? You can open the packaged contents.
Yeah, I have gone in there.
Okay. In there's a folder called Originals that is the actual original photos in that library. That's all you really want.
Okay, I'll have to look. I don't remember seeing that. I'll have to check.
It's in there, original photos. And you can drag it out of that onto an external drive or a USB thumb drive, anything it'll fit on, and copy it.
Okay.
And now you've got the original photos, and then you just put that in the new computer, and you import from Photos all those photos, and they'll now suddenly be in your Photos library.
Gotcha. Okay.
There was an automatic way to do this when Apple first moved from iPhotos to Photos.
The file was called Masters at the time. The folder was called Masters.
Oh, that goes way back.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't seen Masters. I've only seen original photos. But you'll dig around. You're going to see there's a folder with all the photos in it. Not the thumbnails, not the edits, nothing. Just the originals. But that's what you want.
Yeah. So if I can't find that because like it got corrupted, if I brought all the JPEGs over, is there a program or something that can sort through those and
remove the thumbnails and just
find
keep
the best version?
Yeah. So there are a couple of ways to do that. I wouldn't be surprised if the Photos app itself could detect that they're duplicates.
You could just take the library maybe and import from the Photos app.
Yeah, well, so there's a built-in duplicates tool, and it's possible that even though they're different sizes, the Photos library could determine the difference. But I think the best way to do it is to use the third-party tool, Gemini.
You've recommended this before, and I love it. It's not free, but it is
not
great.
free. It's called Gemini Photos, and it is a great tool from Marquardt that will immediately realize that you've got low quality thumbnails and then the full size photos, and give you the ability to select basically all of the thumbnails and say, I don't want those. I only want the full size photos. And I think it has a free trial. So you could at least give it a go, see if it's right for you, and then, make the choice to purchase it from there. It is, again, Gemini Photos, like the twins.
That's a great program to have just in general. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will give it a try because there's about 30,000 pictures in that library.
Yeah, you really don't want to lose them. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's so corrupted you can't get to the masters or the originals, then I mean, that's the problem, is it's corrupted, which we don't know what that means really. How is that gonna how is that gonna affect your export? Don't give up on it. Make a copy of it.
Yeah,
save
no matter
it somewhere.
what, save it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have multiples, and I have had some Time Machine backups that I could go through as well. But
Time Machine.
I don't know when it originally got corrupted.
Right.
So that's part of the problem, trying to go back to find a state before it got corrupted, because it really screwed up the dates of the photos. So I had a lot of albums and things, and now everything kind of has like a default date or something on them. So it's pretty hard to work with them. Okay. Well, I appreciate the suggestion, and I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good luck.
Good luck. Absolutely.
Okay.
Take care. Bye-bye. You're watching Ask the Tech Guys with Micah Sargent, Leo Laporte, Chris Marquardt. Coming up in about 15 minutes, our photo guy to review your sparkly photos. As we continue, though, let me do one more email. Just, you got such a stack here. Maybe we could do a few. Maybe I should just do like a speed round.
We always say that, but it's never a speed round.
We never do a speed round. And I know people, you're probably watching the show saying, could they please answer a few more questions? But we like to take our time. We like to deeply dive.
Deep dive.
Into powerful outdoor Wi-Fi extender for Starlink, asked Jim. Ooh. Hi, Leo and Micah, longtime listener. Back to Leo's days on KGO. Wow. I installed Starlink, that's Elon Musk's SpaceX internet service, on a friend's ranch near Los Banos, and I want a powerful outdoor Wi-Fi extender to use with Starlink. Any recommendations? Oh, it doesn't matter if you're using Starlink or anything else. I presume at some point in that installation, it turns it into normal Ethernet or Wi-Fi or something, right? So I like, there's a great place to go to get information about Wi-Fi extenders. It's called Radio Lab.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and they have all these incredible solutions. Let me just pull it up so I can show you. Designed for Radio Labs, pardon me, it's plural. Designed for farms, barns, look at that. See that antenna? That's a microwave. So they have all kinds of stuff designed to do what you want to do. I'm not going to recommend one just because it really is going to depend on how far it's got to go, and so forth. Normally, if there's omnidirectional, which spreads it all over the place, but if you really just want to point the Starlink back to a barn or something like that, you might have a directional one. But all of that is here. Incredible. Plus, they've got a knowledge base, and I think you can find the information you need here, but they also have good support. Radio Labs, plural, and I think it's .com.
Yep.
That's a really
quick.
good choice.
That was truly
speed round part 2. From Chris in New York. Hi, Chris. Dear Leo and Micah, big fan of the show. Proud Club Twit member since 2021. Yay.
Wow.
That means since the very beginning. Leo, I've been watching you since high school on Call for Help. He was in high school, not me.
Yeah.
I was a grown adult. And you've been a tremendous influence on my curiosity and love for technology and media. That's wonderful, Chris. I know you're too humble about it, but you are a national treasure.
Oh.
Did you write this, John Ashley? Are you trying to get a raise? For the tech community, you're going to leave an impactful legacy on the moon. My question is, my mom has been using Family Tree Maker to keep genealogy for her family for the past few decades. Good on her. While FTM is excellent, we never know what the future holds for these companies. Yeah. Their servers, yeah, or even the technology platforms they rely on. I want a way to back up all this information in a more universally accessible format for the years to come. Is there a particular file type? Yes. Or database? Yes. I should try to export everything into and save on USB sticks. Or print it out on archival paper and save it in a safe. Chris, you have been watching. How do I protect it for future generations? Obviously, archival paper is great because that's going to be format independent. If somebody's got eyes and English is still the language, that's going to 1,000 years from now, somebody could read that. No digital solution is guaranteed to last that long. So I would do both. But there is a genealogical standard. GEDCOM. It's the format that you should put everything in because all GEDCOM.org, all the programs all read and write GEDCOM. So that way you're going to get something that will have the most likely ability to be read later.
It was made by the LDS Church, so it's going to last.
Actually, that's a good point.
They genuinely are one of the most amazing resources for genealogy in the United States and elsewhere.
How do you know about this? Are you a genealogy guy?
No. So I started to do research for it, and then I also have a friend who's an anthropologist and told me all about how the LDS Church does have vast resources.
It's a religious belief of theirs, and which I won't go into because I'll misstate it. But they have, as you probably know, or your mom does anyway, the best genealogical library in the world. They've been keeping all this stuff, not just Mormons, but everybody. And so very often when you do a genealogical search, you end up at the LDS database and so forth. So the fact, you're exactly right. That might even be better than archival paper. Mormons are going to be here forever. So that's a good format. Put it in the GEDCOM format, GEDCOM. Your program will undoubtedly do that, by the way. And then I think that's about it, right? What else would you do? I agree with you. Family Tree Maker is pretty old, and there's been Ancestry.com has kind of taken over, but unfortunately they charge an arm and a leg.
So much money.
It's ridiculous.
And you can do it more open source.
Well, I don't know. I mean, access to a lot of these databases and libraries is I guess, expensive. I don't know. Every family should have at least one person who does this, though. I'm glad that you do. That's really good. And yeah, work with your mom to make sure that this stuff stays. Print out a family tree, right?
Yep, you can always do that. Yeah, keep as much of a physical as you do the digital version.
Yeah.
And then you just pass that along to the next family member who keeps it physical as much as a digital version.
You kind of need both.
Yeah. Did you know, the reason why, again, with the religious aspect of it, that you can kind of trust that. I just learned that we humans are talking about creating what is essentially a radioactive priesthood. And it is the idea.
Is Father Robert going to be involved?
Well, that we should have a group of people who kind of like religion pass along the information about radioactivity.
Because there will be waste.
Because it's going to go for so long, And the way that we talk about radioactivity changes over time. What we used to use as symbology for this is a radioactive waste, because it becomes part of pop culture, then we don't have as much aversion to it. And so a radioactive priesthood, these would be the people who would over time continue to pass along and be responsible for educating the population and saying, don't go near Chernobyl because for the next 20,000 years this is still dangerous. I just found that really fascinating.
I think what's fascinating is the signs they're trying to make up so that people won't go, oh, what is this cave?
That's interesting.
Let's go look and see what's in there.
Yeah, they've literally done contests with artists to create horrible, grotesque imagery that would keep you away from something.
But how do you know what people of 5,000 years from now,
what they would be,
will think of these signs and how they'll interpret it?
And that's where the radioactive priesthood comes into play.
Yeah. So you need.
I kind of want to join. I just want a really cool radioactive.
It's an interesting
Pope
question.
hat, you know.
You know about the clock of the long now and all that, right? Yeah. The idea that, I mean, we don't know anything about people who were on this planet maybe 3,000 or 4,000 years ago. We could speculate. Yeah, that's a really interesting question. I don't think your genealogical tree needs to last 5,000.
No.
Just 5 generations. But even then, I mean, can you go back 5 generations in your family tree?
I don't know. I think
let's see, your mom, your grandma,
yes,
your great-grandma, your great-great-grandma, your great-great-grandma. That's about the cutoff right there.
Yeah, I was going to say
great-great-great. Right?
I can, on both sides, which is surprising on my black side that we can go back that far.
Somebody has kept the records.
Yeah, and that's exactly
and that's
why.
what you want.
Yeah, you need that.
This is from Patrick Delahanty. Oh, no, sorry. It's from Bob, via Patrick. Bob, Adobe sent me an email. They're discontinuing Adobe fill-in sign. This is a big bummer for me because I rely on the program so much. I could shoot a picture of a form, then fill it in and check the boxes with my iPhone. Do you know of another iOS app like this? Adobe wants to sell me another app with an enormous annual fee, and it doesn't even come close to fill-in sign.
So Apple...
You're the iOS guy.
Yeah, I was going to say iOS just added this functionality.
Did they?
Yeah, so you can fill out forms that you take a photo of.
What? What's it called?
It's just built into your...
Just take a picture?
Yeah, you take a picture of a form and it has
There's a scan button on your iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen this and I've always wondered. So when I need a document.
Yeah,
Let's take a document here. All right. Here's a document. I'm going to take a... So now... It sees the document, and as soon as it sees the text, it gives me that little scan button, right?
Yeah, and that lets you, it should highlight the text that's there, and it becomes selectable.
It does.
And delectable.
It's selectable, yeah.
And then...
Select all.
Yeah, so that's not the feature.
Oh.
It's after you've taken the photo, you will be presented with...
A form.
Yeah, exactly. It can be turned into a form. So we had to have a form to show it, but...
That's probably why Adobe killed this.
Yeah, because a lot of... this may be something that's available on Android. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's possible that Android has a...
So it's built in. Look for a built-in feature in your iPhone that will do this.
Yes.
Wow. Very clever.
Let me see what it's called. iPhone fill-in form.
This is why you want to watch iOS Today. And again, you can now listen to iOS Today. In fact, all of our shows are now available via audio. If you, well, how would you subscribe? I guess go to the website, right? twit.tv, and you'll see the subscription. If you were a subscriber to iOS Today, it's the same.
Yes, correct. We are using that same feed.
We are also uploading at least back up to the beginning of January's some of the older episodes of like Untitled Linux Show, iOS Today. It's on YouTube audio only.
Nice. So YouTube or subscribe in your podcatcher. So you don't have to be a club member now to hear all of these shows, the Untitled Linux Show, Home Theater Geeks, but it's audio only. We wanted to give... I know it's cheesy, but we need to give people some reason to give us $7. So we thought, well, but we want everybody to hear the shows too.
It's a
so we're kind of trying to figure this out. So Lisa thought, and I think it's a good idea, maybe if we put the audio of everything out and you'll listen to it and you go, boy, I really should give these people $7 so I could see Micah and Rosemary's smiling faces, and we're hoping that you will do that.
We do.
But if not, that's okay.
We understand.
Yeah, we understand. Thank you very much. Mr. Chris Marquardt is here. Are you ready to talk photography?
I'm ready.
Let me get my camera out so I can take a picture of Chris. He is our photo guy. He is at discoverthetopfloor.com. That's where his workshops are. Chris, do you hold the lens above it or underneath it? How do you hold that?
You have to turn it around so the bigger lens faces you.
This way. Oh, good. All right.
Don't ask me about photography.
There's a debate over who took the first selfie. And I found a picture my dad took 60 years ago with his camera like this, right? And you could tell his arm is out and he's like this.
Doesn't count.
My dad invented the selfie.
Your dad invented the selfie.
He invented the selfie, ladies and gentlemen.
Doesn't count. We didn't call it selfie back then. It was a self-portrait, and that is not a selfie.
That's not a selfie. Okay.
I think it starts with the point when someone actually called it a selfie.
That's when it began. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Chris
so.
is the king of photography in our book. Anyway, he's written many books about photography, wide-angle photography, film photography. He's got classes online, and he does these great workshops. You'll find it all at discoverthetopfloor.com. But for me, the most important thing is I've known him since God knows when, since the early days of podcasting, and he's always
2006,
been
I think.
Photo guru. Yes, that's a long time, Chris. What's bizarre is I look older and fatter. You don't, and I don't understand how you're
I
aging.
beg to differ.
Okay. Anyway, our topic this month was sparkle.
Sparkle.
I want some sparkly photos.
The actual word was sparkling, which caused a few mistags. So
I mistagged
when you
mine.
look at it, it only looks like it looks like we only have 4 pictures, but there are a few more. So I went down into the photos and checked them out. So let's just dive into the 3 I chose. The first
photos.
one.
The
first
winter.
one.
Yeah.
By Gregory Chesney. It's a winter photo, and of course it's sparkly. Of course, I think it would be more sparkly if there was like sunlight on it, but then you don't really have the choice in winter all the time.
No.
So, but snow is sparkly, isn't it? So nice photo, but just in general, I mean, the what I like about winter photos is that they almost have a monochrome vibe a lot of the time. In this case, it's the red of the brick building in the background and the white, and it just warm colors next to the white, and that's a nice mixture.
It's hard to take pictures of snow, isn't it? Though I mean that there's some credit to where credit is due. That is not an easy thing to get the snow not
Snow depends on what else is on your photo. Snow can blow out and be all white and lose all its detail. So it takes a bit of skill, more skill than in many other situations. All right, second one.
Yes.
Is by Gregory again. I had to choose this one because it is a sparkly. I think the title of the picture is Deliciously Fake.
It looks more muddy than sparkling to me, actually. I don't know if I'd want to. There's melted
There's
snow.
some glittery stuff in the background there. Sparkly in a different sense of the word for sure. So, looks again. This one would typically need snow to be like really authentic.
But I like how kind of drab,
cloying,
and I like the color. The color in it is beautiful.
It tells a bit of a sad story.
It's sad. Yeah,
there's that.
It's Santa after the party. Yeah. That's good.
All right, and the third photo is by, let me find it, Doug Burba, and it's a night scene in Bogota,
I like
Colombia.
that.
Nice.
The way that the light shines through the trees that makes it feel sparkling.
That's quite beautiful. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's some sparkle to that for sure. So, night photos in general of cityscapes and things, I like that a lot. And then I have a bonus photo, which was mislabeled, but I chose it anyway.
Oh, I know that photo. That's a sparkling personality, is what that is. That is really stretch to get
two
that
sparkling
one.
personalities.
Now, we should say members of the Twit family are not allowed to submit, but I couldn't resist on that one. And
that's why I brought it in as a bonus photo.
And that's our cat, Sammy, who is our surviving of the pair. So we lost Paris last week, so I thought I'd submit that. And that's, of course, the beautiful Lisa, my wife. Watching
lovely photo, shallow depth of field. You captured a real moment there. So.
Yeah. Good
job.
When that came out of the camera, I jumped up and down. I was very happy.
It's a very good photo.
It's a very good photo. Absolutely. So, we do have a fishbowl.
Back to the bowl, baby. We're going to get the tag right this time because I mistagged mine. Going to get this one right.
The next one will be easier. Okay. Let me find one. This is going to be a lot easier. Modern.
Interesting.
Ooh.
Modern.
Ooh, modern.
That leaves a lot of things. Yep, that's a lot of things.
Yeah,
you can put
open
into
to
that,
interpretation, huh?
Sure.
That's
Definitely.
fun, actually. I like modern things. So here's how that works. You're going to, first of all, get the tag right. So you're going to take a picture. We want new pictures. So no pictures taken before today will be accepted. You got to take a picture from now on. Because the whole point of this is get out there and take some pictures. I've started just for this. I've been carrying my camera around with me now, so I will get some good images, and which is hard for somebody of my weak talent. But you take enough, maybe you'll find one that's modern. When it hits you and you go, "That's modern," you upload it to Flickr.com. That's the photo sharing site. We love the photo sharing site Flickr. There is a tech guy group on there. So after you've uploaded to Flickr, tag it TG for tech guys, and modern for this particular month's assignment. TG modern. And then submit it to the tech guy group. You'll know you're in the right group when you see more than 11,000 members. Big group. Renee Silverman is our moderator. She'll welcome you, accept your photo into the batch, and then we're going to have more than we had this month, I hope. Yes, you want.
And
yes.
We have one more thing, because last time we started something, and I think I want to continue that. As we live in the age of artificially created pictures, and not everyone has like the proper camera, let's add a second tag, TG Modern AI.
Did we get any AI
generated.
submissions?
No, we didn't. But I still want to keep this open, because I think with the tools getting better, like almost by the week, and getting more accessible for people,
practice your prompting.
I have an idea that we'll probably get more of those in the future.
Nice.
TG Modern
TG
AI.
Modern, and submit it to the tech guy group. You could do one of each.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
that
totally
sounds like fun. There's so many good image generating AIs. Now there's DALL-E, and there's the Hugging Face one.
Midjourney.
Midjourney's my favorite, yep. So do something cool. Or maybe apply some AI to an existing photo.
Yeah, you can do that.
Do that too. Chris, you going to write a book on AI and photography? I think that'd be a good book.
I'm writing a different book right now, but it's just starting, and I hope it gets translated to English. But it's a book for beginners that is a book that I wish I had when I started photography, which is around giving new photographers a bit of a map of where photography can go in a creative sense.
That.
So it spans between the things you learn online, you learn in workshops, you learn like the established knowledge, and then breaks out into the creative. So
I'm always a beginner at this one. This is but it's a fun thing.
Oh, me too.
Fun thing.
It's wonderful to bring yourself back to that level. Because it's not easy.
I'm using my German cameras now almost exclusively, so I want to get some really good. And this one's a rangefinder, which is kind of fun because I have to manually focus it, and it's kind of painstaking. It's not a great camera for like pets. I've not yet been able to get a picture of Burke's dog because she just doesn't sit still, or children. But it's a fun camera to kind of think about what.
There's a lot of control.
Yeah, I really like it. That's how I took the picture of Lisa. That was one of my first images from it. So I'll come up with something modern today, or this week, or this month. You have 4 weeks till Chris returns. Chris, discover the top floor. Any exciting stuff coming up there?
I'll go back to Eastern Europe. It's not on the website just yet, but it will be in a few weeks.
Oh, exciting.
If anyone wants to come on a photo road trip to Eastern Europe in September-ish, then keep an eye on the website.
Very cool. Chris Marquardt, thank you for joining us again this month. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
And I just looked at the Tech Guy group, 14,000 members.
It's wild.
It's growing. Thank you.
Let's get them all to join Club
Chris.
Twit.
Yeah. Yeah. We're getting close to that number in Club Twit. That's exciting. All right. Golly, we've had a lot of calls today. I think we should.
do see that we have our photo archivist who might
let's
be,
get her on. I
Yeah.
love her. Yes.
She might have an answer for the earlier question.
Oh, the genealogy question?
Or the one before that about photos in a corrupted library.
Oh, yeah, the iPhotos.
We shall see.
We'll see. We're guessing at what our caller will want to talk about. Hey.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Remind me your first name and where you're calling from.
I'm Susan Wallach, and I'm calling from Longmont, Colorado.
Hi, Susan. Good to see you again.
Yes, I'm the founder and owner of Save a Memory.
Yes.
And you had two back-to-back callers. One was in regards to duplicates, like 30,000 or whatever they said.
He had a lot of pictures.
30,000 is a small number for me when I'm dealing with people's catalogs.
What's the biggest catalog you've ever dealt with?
Well, to date, it's been my own.
And how many images?
I had over 150,000. That really, when I deduped things, it resolved down to about 50.
Oh, wow.
So, and the reason being, when you are very concerned about your data, you tend to make backups, and then you might delete stuff in a moment that you think you don't need. And so when you're about to look at a hard drive and say, gosh, is there anything on here I need? Maybe I should check. And then you see photos. And then you go, maybe I should just import this again into my catalog. So then
that's where your troubles begin.
Right. And then you get dupes. And then early on when I was learning Lightroom is a very powerful program. However, it can also be confusing. And if you don't make the right choices when you import, you could be causing dupes. And so when two images are roughly the same, that's a similar image. But when they're identical, meaning the file name is the same, the size is the same, the resolution is the same, all things are equal, then it's very easy to remove those dupes. It's the creation date has been removed somehow. Maybe it's a scanned image of a digital, things like that. Then it can get really hard to remove and find those dupes. Well, I think you mentioned Gemini, and that's a very good program. However, one of the ones that professionals use is called Photo Sweeper. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Photo Sweeper. Yeah, so that's a Mac-only program, and that is one of my go-tos. And I know that Apple has included the duplicate finder in Apple photo libraries, which is great. But again, it doesn't help with the similars, right? It has to be an exact. So I would recommend Photo Sweeper to this gentleman. I would also, so that he can feel confident when he pulls that trigger and starts deleting things, is to create a hub. So gather up all these different catalogs that he was talking about, right? Put it on a brand new external hard drive. I've been really loving these Samsung T7s.
I love those. Yeah, they're little USB drives. They're great. Yeah.
They're very fast. And so he can create a folder called Hub and then bring in folders from other places on his different devices and put them in there. And so that he's got one good copy of his photo library archive and all the backups that he wants to remove the duplicates from. Then make a copy of that hub. Put that second copy somewhere on your shelf so that as you run these programs on it, you can be confident that when you hit delete and they go in the trash and you remove your trash, you're okay because you have all those files back on your shelf. All right.
That's smart.
The other thing is, when you're going through this Photo Sweeper, there are a lot of great tweaks in regards to what is your preference on when it identifies an image. Do you want a longer folder path? Do you want a shorter folder path? Do you want to ignore high res, raw files, or do you want to keep them? And it's got, anyway, it's quite a wonderful program.
Yeah, it sounds really powerful, which is great.
It's very powerful. And so that's why I encourage people to make that duplicate of all your hub files before you dive in, because until you've tweaked your settings, you could be removing things that you would otherwise want to keep.
Yeah.
Next point, Mylio. When you talk about managing images from multiple devices, I would encourage people to try the Mylio program. It is free for one computer, but when you try to connect your other mobile devices, then you will need to upgrade to the Photos Plus account, and that's only $99 a year. That too can help you dedupe. When you start to import those folders, you can ask it to not import presumed duplicates. One thing to note on that, where was I going?
I have my MyLeo library here with 208,000 images.
208,000.
But that's the beauty of MyLeo is it's been, they were a sponsor for a long time. It's been pulling photos from all the different, this is my hub, from all the different collections. So I do have that many. And I ran the MyLeo deduplication because they have, I think, a good deduplication tool. And it cut it down considerably, probably by half, but I still have 208,000 unique images because I've been taking digital photos now for 20 years. But I love having them. I love the categorization it does. I'm actually happy to hear you say that you approve because
yes. And thinking of your second caller right after that, or no, it was an email, I think, about genealogy.
Yeah.
Did you know, Leo, that MyLeo is a big fan of genealogy, and they're now allowing you to do this family history where you can start tagging people as your relative.
Oh, I'm going to do that
program.
Oh, how exciting.
And they're going to be at Roots Tech, and so am I.
That's a genealogy conference?
Yep, coming up at the end of February, and they're going to have a booth along with the photo managers. We're going to have a booth there. And so I encourage people that if you want to keep your genealogy records personal and private and only share them with your family, to check out MyLeo, because you can, when you go to these places like Ancestry.com or any of these other places that have records that other people have submitted, or maybe it's census documents that you want to download, you can download all those images and create a separate space, a private space for genealogy in your MyLeo catalog, and start linking all these documents to people and people to other people based on relationship.
Cool.
Oh, I'm going to do that because, of course, I've been using it for a year now, and so it has all the face recognition is already in there. But now I can say that's my aunt, that's my grandma, that's my mom.
That tree, cool.
That's my co-host,
your son,
and it will just add
daughter.
them all together. I love that. Oh, this is great. Yeah, MyLeo has turned out to be I've toured still because I use Apple Photos also. I have everything stored in both, so I guess that's okay. But MyLeo, I love the features on MyLeo, and I have it on all my systems now. It's a really great thing to keep track of stuff.
And I'm a certified MyLeo consultant. So
I didn't know that. Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So if people have questions, and I also wanted to reach out to you when I heard that your mom handed over a lot of her photo albums and things that you'd like to get
I got to scan those. Maybe I'll send them to you, Susan. I
would love the opportunity to help you with that.
Deal. Okay, deal. They're right now. They're with her in the nursing home because it's one of the things she loves to do is look at those old photos. And even though her memory is failing, she remembers the old days really, really well. And so it's really fun to sit with her. And she says, "Oh, that's speaking of great grandfather. That's your great grandmother, Grugra."
But you got to capture those memories because
get them. I know.
So if you can digitize them,
I will.
And then she could look at them through MyLeo and add comments, because you could lock down a space and invite her using an iPad, and you can lock down the settings so she can't do anything destructive except to add comments.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, what I did is I got a Amazon Echo Show, and you can set it up that it has Amazon. I use Amazon Photos as well, another hub. And because it's free, if you're a Prime member, it has all my photos there. And I set up the family pictures and the slides and the old stuff so that it's a slideshow on the Amazon show. It's not perfect because every once in a while Amazon tries to sell her a toothbrush, but for most part, it's just those pictures. And she loves it. She really loves it because it's random slideshow of more than 1,000 old photos. So it's nice to have that. Do you have a recommendation, Susan, for a photo frame? Do you use those? Do you know about them?
I do. And you know what? I am just looking because I do have a recommendation. We use what was it called? I have one in my living room.
Is it big? And is it so? One of the problems with the Echo is only 7 inches, and there's the Amazon Cruft. I've turned that all off. There turns out I didn't know this, but if you dig down into the settings, you can clear up the home screen a lot on the Echo. So it's mostly just the slides. The nice thing is I can copy new photos into my account, and it will show her. I can add those to her library. So even though I'm 3,000 miles away, I can put no photos there. But there are a number of digital photo frames out there.
I've got the Nix Play at home.
That's the one.
Is that the one you have?
Thank you, Micah. That is the one that
great minds. Wow.
We recommend.
Play.
And one of the great things about that is that you can just email photos to the frame.
Yeah,
so you get a unique email, and you can, so if it's not the frame that's in your house, let's say you get it for your parents or your grandparents or vice versa, you want to share stuff with your children, then you can get the address to it and surprise them with new images.
They've just put out a 15-inch.
Woo!
That would be nice for mom.
Yeah, see, what's great about it, because I got one for my mom, and I gave all of my siblings the email. And so anytime they can email photos that they've been taking to that photo frame, and then suddenly they pop up, Mom gets new photos of us doing
Isn't that exciting?
It's so fun.
Do they? So they have a cloud storage that the photos. Can I also upload photos to it, or?
Oh yeah, directly through a browser.
Okay.
Yes, you can.
So
that's how you manage your frame.
For other people who maybe don't want to have the logins and all that kind of stuff to manage. Yeah, you can just.
And you can do video too.
Yep. Videos.
Yes.
Oh, Mom's getting a present.
So I have to tell you a quick story. One of my partners, she and I, we do the podcast Inside Photo Organizing together, and she has one of those frames that she gave to the grandparents, and her son would record these jokes and send it to the frame. And they finally had to turn off something on the frame because they'd be walking through the room, and then all of a sudden the video would come on and there'd be this voice talking.
It'd be a joke.
Hey, why does a chicken cross the road?
Now, I got a question.
Okay.
Should I send this frame to Mom, or do I need to get it, set it up, and then bring it to Mom?
You need to get it and set it up. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
If you get it, get the registration code, follow all the setups, get it, test it, make sure that when you email that things show up. You can even set a time where it turns on and turns off. So I only run mine during the day.
Oh, that's a good idea, because I don't want it to
And
keep
it
her
also
up at
has
night.
a little, I can't remember if it's motion or if it's IR, but there's a little sensor, and so it will.
An awareness.
Yeah, an awareness sensor, so that if no one's in the house, then it doesn't need to be on, and
Wow, this is a deal right now.
It's very
This 15-inch is $350, but if you buy one, you get one free.
No way.
Would you like pictures of my mom?
That's awesome. No, you should have one for your house.
I'll have one for our house, and we could put it on the wall. Can you hang them on the wall, or they're too thick to hang on the wall?
You can hang them on the wall, but I do think
they're really slim. I've had digital frames for years, and when I look back at the ones I've had before, this is really amazing. Where things are going with
somebody
this.
Emailed me asking, and I said I don't have any experience. I didn't know that you had.
Right.
But both Susan and Micah say the Nix Play from nixplay.com. Okay.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm
going to buy this one right now.
That's exciting.
And then when I go out to see Mom, I'll just take it with me. It'll be all set up. And
then when you send me your photos that I can scan and digitize and
those can go in there
backdate.
too. Yeah.
Those can go in there too.
Now, can I send them? I guess I should take them out of the albums. That's ridiculous.
No. No. Actually, I like to capture, because somebody took the time to put them into the album in a certain way.
She did. Yeah.
Right. And if you've got those old ones that have the comments on the page, I want to capture the page. I use camera scanning. So I have a very high-end Nikon D850.
Yeah.
And I camera scan the full page to capture what it is before I disassemble the album. And if there's any captions, all of that goes into your file, your digital file in the metadata, the XF, right?
Yeah.
And I also add any keywords if there's, birthdays or celebrations, or I can tell, that you went on a trip to Yellowstone. I will tag that through Lightroom. You can, add GPS, as you know. So I do all of that. I backdate the images, so that if it was taken in 1940, then it should show up in your album in 1940 in your digital catalog.
Oh,
this
that's
is
so
saintly
cool.
work, I think.
Yeah.
It must be cool too for you though that you get to experience so many different lives through photos. That
The stories are amazing, and that's my goal. We're getting so many just horrific weather-related storms, and when those prints are gone, you don't realize that is the emotional pain of these disasters, really. And so one of my goals is to really help people. If they want suggestions, as I grow my business, what I hope to do is have like a little membership club where I provide videos to people and give them, like DIY tips. But right now we're doing the podcast, which sort of does that. But I do hands-on help. You pay me and I take care of it, and I hand you back a well-curated catalog that's been backdated, and all your prints go into archival quality boxes with index tabs for all the years, so that you can just flip through it like those old card catalogs and see all the different photos from the various years.
Well, I just ordered the Knicks play, so we'll be calling
you
on
are
you,
so
Susan.
fast.
Well, I've been looking for. I thought the Alexa's okay.
Yeah.
But I thought it'd be nice to have an actual frame.
A purpose-built device.
Yeah, she uses the Echo for other things. She talks to it and stuff and plays music on it. But
but your pictures don't stay on there.
I'll put the pictures on the Knicks play on her dresser in her bedroom, so she can.
It's really nice, and you can even change how it transitions between photos.
Oh, she's gonna love this.
It's great.
Yeah, so I sent it to my house so I can set it up.
Good.
Yeah,
I'm gonna set one up for her, one up for you. And then
not me. I already have one. It's for you.
No, but I thought you would when you want to see my pictures.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, sure.
You can have one here at Twit. I'll put it on my desk.
Susan, always a pleasure. Thank you. Give us again the address of your business so I can send you my photos.
It's saveamemory.photo.
Saveamemory.photo.
Very good.
Nice. Thank you, Susan.
All right. Have a great day, guys.
You too. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Well, let's do one more voicemail. Why not? Unless you have somebody you really, really want to get on. We only have time for one more call.
No.
Your choice. Dealer's choice.
I will play the voicemail right. I got this button once. There we go.
Hi, Micah. Hi, Leo. This is Todd out of Orem, Utah.
Hello, Todd.
I am looking for a Mac replacement for iTunes. I hate audio and podcast apps so much that what I've done is installed Windows 11 and downloaded iTunes for Windows and use that to take care of podcasts on my iPod.
Hysterical.
I would like to find something native to the Mac that will do everything that the old iTunes used to do. The main thing is I have subscribed to some podcasts that have 4 or 5 coming out per day, so I can't listen to them all.
Yeah.
And as I get the old ones done, I mark them listened, I delete them, I put some new ones on. So what they have now does not allow me to do that. Please, a good iTunes-like replacement on the Mac. Bye-bye.
Ooh, okay, so.
I'm going to say you want 2 different programs.
Yeah, because that's what I was going to say. The problem that we're experiencing here that a lot of people do like is the unbundling of these different technologies. It did used to be that iTunes kind of did everything. And over time... I
should point out, they're killing iTunes on Windows.
Exactly.
So you're not going to get to use it much longer anyway.
So now it's all been separated. You've got the music app, you've got the podcast app. When it comes to podcast listening on any platform, I use Pocket Casts.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
That's what I would suggest for you.
Or Apple's podcasts.
Well, it sounds like
it won't do what he wants to do. Pocket Casts would absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the whole thing is like creating lists and removing and saying I'm done with this.
I have it set up. As soon as I listen to something, it's gone.
Exactly.
I have it automatically download.
And you can listen via the web if you decide you don't want to use the app itself.
Yep.
Yeah, and then it works on it'll work everywhere. It's great. So that's what I recommend for that. And then it looks like you've got a URL for music.
This is my favorite music player, replacing the one that I've been using on the Mac. This is nice because it's cross-platform. Mac, iPhone, it works on CarPlay, works on your Sonos. It's called Vox, the Vox music player at vox.rocks. Oh, John, you like it too. All right. So one of the reasons John Slanina and I got it is because it plays high-res music back. So if you buy the higher quality sound, iTunes will not play it back necessarily, but this does. It plays all the formats. It is a really nice, simple interface. It's small. I think I have it on here. Let me see. I can show you. It doesn't take up a lot of space. Oh, I guess I haven't signed in on this one yet. But there's some of the information about it. It's got gap and crossfade. It's got what they call hog mode for high resolution. There's a lot of nice features. I keep Vox. Actually, I'm going to log in on my Vox account. I keep Vox on my on the cloud as well as on all my devices. So let me just log into Vox Rocks so that will authorize. Yes, authorize.
Yes, please.
Yes, please. Now I've authorized my player. And let's see, I thought I had Vox Premium. Maybe I turned that off. I have so many music services. But anyway, this is the player. It's very small. Here, we'll put it here. Do you want to sync your favorite radio stations? Oh, that's another thing. It does do radio stations, which I think is kind of nice. So you see, this is the player. It's just a tiny little...
Look at it.
Tiny little thing.
It's a little baby.
It's going to get bigger when I put some music in it. You can put playlists in it and so forth. But it's just a little... And I think I like this. I don't want it taking over my screen, right? So this is like the iTunes mini player, basically. Vox will also sit in the background and has a little playing interface on the menu bar.
If you have an Apple Music subscription, though, can you listen to the music that you have via Apple Music?
You can listen to the music you've downloaded.
Got it.
You can't log into the Apple Cloud through this.
So you in the music app, be logged in, then download. Then
and Vox has its own cloud, which you may not want to pay additionally. But if you want to get out of the kind of the Apple world, maybe that's what you're looking to do. This is it. There's the player with the whole album in it. Here, close this. Get this out. I got too many things on my screen. It's gonna be a little confusing. But this is the little player you see. It's got a whole album here. It's playing Weird Al Yankovic Greatest Hits Volume 2.
Oh, Volume 2.
Did you know there's a second volume?
Second volume.
Out now. Unfortunately, because... Okay, I'm going to stop it now. Unfortunately, because my entire music library is in here, even some poor choices that I made in a younger time are also in here. And Weird Al comes up first because he's got a quote in the Weird Al. So it's always at the top of my playlist.
He's like, hey, I
hear a little bit too much Weird Al, to be honest with you. Nice little player, Vox. It's not free. I think there's a free version, but you're going to want to pay for it. But it's not hugely expensive. And I like the cloud because then I can play it on everything. On my iPhone, I can play it in my car, wherever I want. So that's my favorite. There are many players.
There are so many players.
Apple for a while kind of killed the ecosystem by making iTunes, but now others have come along, and I think they've made some very good choices, some good apps out there, and I've been using Vox forever and ever and ever. I think we're out of time.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Ask the Tech Guys.
I hate to say that. We've got a great episode of Twit coming up, but we're going to wrap up things here. Once again, a reminder, all of our shows are now available, audio only, even the shows that have been in the past behind a paywall, like Micah's Hands on Macintosh and iOS Today. Listen to the audio. If you like it, subscribe and get the video too at twit.tv/clubtwit. Micah will be back
on Thursday. Thursday, yes.
For Tech News Weekly.
For Tech News Weekly,
okay. Exactly. And, of course, Ask the Tech Guys and iOS Today. We hope you'll come back and watch this show. We do it every Sunday for about 11 a.m. Pacific time. That would be 2:11 p.m. East Coast time. That would be 19:11 in the UTC time zone. We go for a couple of hours. We usually end around this time, which is 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern. If you're watching or listening during those hours, you can call direct at 888-724-2884. outside those hours, you can still call that number, but you can leave us a voicemail like the last call. What else should I tell people?
You can also join the call by heading to call.twit.tv on
It's
your
a Zoom.
device. It's a Zoom.
A Zoom call.
And, of course, you can email us, atg@twit.tv, with your audio, your video, or your text for answering there as well.
We would love it if you did that.
We would indeed.
What else? I feel like there seems to be more, but I can't.
I think that's it.
Is that everything?
Other than saying goodbye.
Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time. He's Micah Sargent.
That's Leo Laporte.
Oh, we're wishing you a happy geek week. Take care.
Bye-bye.